Hello! I think we are right on time, everybody. Hello! Welcome aboard. It is your host and founder of this wild ride, Demetrius Villa. And we are joined by our fellow engineer and co-conductor here on this wild ride, Ruben Van Mijero. Welcome aboard, man.
I mean, you're getting better at my name, but yeah, welcome to the stream. Let's do this.
This is gonna be a good stream. So I just got back. Well, I had my burger, but I still got my steak and shake and my fries. It's a cheap meal for Saturday. So I mean, why not? I love steak and shake. I mean, if there's any place that's for fast food that's actually healthy, and I'm not gonna crap it out in the next 5 minutes because it's poison, that's one place. And of course, Ruben is its last. He's there for his last week, I think, in Estonia until he returns back to his native Belgium. So we're gonna celebrate with one of our favorites over here, our Saint Bernardus Pater 6. It's a product of Belgium. It's Abbey Ale. So we're gonna celebrate that and celebrate some other things because we got a lot of good news this week and a lot of funny news. So we're gonna go over it. We're gonna have some fun. So let's look at the comments as he is here. Hello, Grambo. Yeah, everybody's loving the Eurobeat that we've been putting on. That's been pretty fun. Hello, Adam. I am doing great. Hello, Ricardo. Osman Hossein. Hello, Akshar. Doing great. All right. We need to start chat to Miami Rail. We'll have a little bit about Miami in general. A lot about some Florida stuff. I mean, come on, I'm Florida man here. Hoosier by choice. So yeah, I'm probably the craziest one in the state. Maybe that's a good thing. If I'm the craziest one, that's a good thing here in Indiana. Let's see. One question tonight: is Amtrak in a position to receive all the money that is planning to give? No, we're going to actually go over that because we're actually going to go over Biden's new infrastructure plan, and I'm glad to say it is a ton better, a lot better, infinitely better than the previous iteration. Yeah, it has more to do with rail because the last time there was a lot of stuff in there packed in that bill that had nothing to do with rail. I mean, there's a lot of gibs for the boomers, which, I mean, look, it's the richest cohort of generation in America. I don't think they really need more money. And a lot less, and a lot more. There was a lot in there for electric vehicles, which wasn't going to happen. But they've revamped it and they've changed a lot of it. It's a more bipartisan bill. And I think because they've added a lot of Republican input in there, they've been able to cut back a lot of stuff that wasn't needed. And they actually, this time, cut back a lot of the stuff. But we'll get into that later. Right now, we want to talk about the big news over here. Brightline. Well, this is not as big news maybe as the infrastructure bill, but this is some good news over here. Brightline shares proposed timeline for the future Tampa route and more. So Brightline has had a lot of news this week. Some good. Some bad. Again, I would say the bad news, it wasn't really that. It was expected because of the way the economy is, but we'll go into that to make sure that everybody knows what's going on and what's there. And yet we'll talk about a little bit about Amtrak. Oh, good. Another one that's born and raised in Miami. Yeah, I am born and raised in Miami, Florida. Not a lot of people can say they're born and raised in Miami, Florida. Very few, because everybody from Miami, Florida is from somewhere else around the world. But let's go to our little bright, sunshiny corner of the world and talk about this. The proposed timeline for the future Tampa route and more. So if you guys saw the last video about Brightline West being delayed, which I'm trying to bring more of these daily news videos. If I can make this a daily thing or a sort of daily thing, it will help out the channel a lot. And of course, I am still working on that New York versus Tokyo thing. It is really hard. It's just when you get into something that's really a lot of work, especially when you haven't been doing as much or you're trying to get back in the groove of things. It really is hard to get back into it. So I'm trying with these smaller videos to get myself in there because I've been dropping the ball a lot. But let's get into this. So Brightline has a clearer timeline on when it will start work on its Orlando to Timeline route. Atlanta to Tampa if the Miami-based intercity rail provider gets the necessary approvals, and hopefully necessary approvals in time without any sort of fuss between several counties that want to go ahead and sue. Like you know which ones we're talking about. That happened before. They would literally spend more money to go ahead and sue Brightline rather than go ahead and pay the pennies on the dollars that they have to go ahead to pay for the upgrades on their side of the road. So we talked a lot about that, Ruben. That was a surprise for you.
Yeah, I mean there are lots of surprises for me. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, for those of you guys, who weren't here the last stream and don't know what we're talking about, there was a report that came out of Indian County, which is one of the counties on the Treasure Coast of Florida, on the eastern coast between West Palm Beach and Cocoa. That county spent several millions of dollars to sue Brightline rather than pay a couple $100,000. It was like maybe $900,000 to pay for the road upgrades outside of the tracks. So instead, they went ahead and spent like $5 million to sue Brightline. And they dropped the case afterwards after they figured out that it's not going to work. So, yeah, this is the sort of NIMBYism we're dealing with. But, yeah, Biden wanted to give them more money for some reason. Which, again, look, most of the NIMBYs in the United States and in the Treasure Coast are mostly, the baby boomers. Again, there are baby boomers who are, definitely supporters of high-speed rail, of rail transportation in this country, and I know plenty of them. But amongst there's a massive cohort of them that don't support it for a number of reasons. But anyway, let's get to this back again. So hopefully we'll get to the Disney Resort. Could get started by the first quarter of 2024, said the firm during a June 22nd presentation to Orange County. The remaining 68 miles of the 85-mile route to Tampa would begin construction in the second quarter of 2025. So hopefully soon. If that happens, it will take maybe a year or two. So we'll probably see Brightline running to Tampa by 2027 should things actually follow through on track. If not, most likely 2028, 2029. Remember, Brightline said they were going to start operation back in 2015, and it actually started in 2018. Again, mostly that was due to a lot of the pushback from the counties in the Treasure Coast that wanted to stop the project. All right, so a little more details in that. Design for the first segment is underway, expected to wrap up by fourth quarter of 2022. Construction would end by the fourth quarter of 2025. The second segment's phase will occur from first quarter 22 through third quarter 24. Construction of the segment would extend past 26. And then passenger service would begin after the new track completes safety testing. Brightline is working to secure the right-of-way necessary for the Tampa extension before July 31st deadline, which would determine the final timeline. So by then, we'll probably see a lot more finalization on what exactly Brightline is planning for that route. So they're looking for the preferred route to go along State Road 417, which they estimate would cost $1.03 billion, all covered by Brightline, and is considered the most effective path. But here's the problem, and again, I've been mentioning a lot about boomers and NIMBYs for a reason. The residents and property owners of the Hunters Creek community, where the rail would pass through, have said they believe the route would cause noise and dust, among other issues. Brightline official says it will conduct noise studies, but it contended that its trains will pass by the neighborhood twice an hour for a window of 7 seconds. This is what they're complaining about. So these communities can be right by noisy highways, which are run 24/7, especially in places near Tampa. In that area of Florida, there's a lot of people with cars that make a lot of noise, and they're there, doing the activities that they do. If you know what activities we're talking about, since we had a lot of Eurobeat music for our pre-show, it added the train noise would occur alongside noise created by more than 80,000 vehicles that travel along the 417 corridor daily. So even Brightline knows this is BS, okay? The train noise is basically nothing compared to 80,000 vehicles every day, 24/7, 365 days a week. This is what people are complaining about. Again, we've gone through what happened to the NIMBYs, and Brightline is used to it at this point. We followed the money. It went back to the former president of American Airlines. It went back to a lot of rich business owners and country club owners and several other groups that were there in the Treasure Coast who raised a lot of money and spent millions of dollars, not just their own money. They spent mostly taxpayer dollars and got commissioners and even funded. They funded both Republicans and Democrats. They funded Democrat Patrick Murphy in that area, who's supposedly a Green Democrat. They donated thousands of dollars to his campaign so he would campaign against Brightline, or at the time, All Aboard Florida. So this goes both ways. This goes against both party lines. So again, it's an apolitical. It's not apolitical, not at all. It's a bipartisan issue. That's a more a better term for it. Yeah. The second potential path. Go ahead.
I mean, at least they're being good in business. At least they're diversifying their investments on both sides. One might win. Who knows? But I hope they don't fail to see the irony in the fact that they're complaining about something using tax money, then using tax money to fight that's something that would use tax money. It's quite ironic if you think about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't think they care, honestly. Let me know if you guys can hear Ruben well. I'm checking the audio over here, and it's not coming out as well. Let me know if you guys can hear him loud and clear. If not, we'll see if we can fix that. Because it's not coming too well in the audio mixer. I'm just monitoring it here. All right, continuing on. The second potential path would run along the Taft-Vineland Road and could lead to International Drive. Business groups such as the International Drive Resort Area Chamber of Commerce want this route because it would connect to the popular tourist district and its major anchor assets, such as the Orange County Convention Center and Universal Orlando Resort's future Epic Universe theme park. So somebody was asking in the comments, what are the pros and cons of living next to an active railroad versus a highway? And I could tell you a lot, since I used to live next to both the FEC and the I-95 corridor, or I was right in between the two, and I can tell you there's a lot more going on the FEC corridor in terms of housing, in terms of economics, prosperity. There's a lot more onto that than next to the I-95 corridor. Okay, and this happens everywhere around the United States. When interstates ram through places, they basically destroy neighborhoods, and these places become, mixed stops where they just basically turn into McDonald's, Burger King, Arby's, or a whole bunch of other fast food restaurants right next to the exits, and that it destroys the area. It really does. The diversity of it and everything. Okay, so both the right and the left can agree on this for whichever reasons. The price of this route recently was disputed via a report from the Massachusetts-based engineering firm VHB, which was commissioned by iDrive Business, that said it would cost only $28 million to $250 million more than Brightline's preferred route. So you have a lot of businesses that are trying to see if they can pull Brightline over to that route. The reason why Brightline really wants the State Road 417 route is because, A, it's a lot easier to go ahead and build the right-of-way on there. And they're trying to do it without any road crossings, without any crossings at all. So it would just be able to go full speed ahead and reach there. Because if that works, it would be a big boon to the area, to Tampa and Orlando, in the whole Central Florida region. This second path could work out well, but the thing is, it's sort of diverting it around toward the south end of Orlando, and then it's gonna have to, get back on track to go there. Either way could work, but we'll see. As part of the Tampa extension, Brightline is studying the potential to share a corridor with commuter rail system Sunrail, would allow a connection to Orlando International Airport. And we talked about this in a video that Sunrail could go ahead and do a route over all the way up to even Volusia County to Daytona. That's been back and forth that they say, we're thinking about it, we're planning it, and sometimes they're not planning it. So we'll see. We'll see. So Brightline is currently 55% complete on its $2.7 billion Orlando to West Palm Beach connection, which expects to be finished by the fourth quarter of 2022. By next year, guys. Next year, that's going to be done. Service would start in 2023 after required safety tests. So yeah, this is good. This is good news. Florida is moving forward. Brightline is moving forward. America is moving forward. It's a good day in America.
Really great news. I hope I'm more audible right now, better to hear.
Yeah, now I can hear it.
Okay, good to know. I had to move my microphone and speak a bit more up, but I think in the second route, Brightline needs to go fast, A to B, boom, zoom, go fast. I think the second route would be a beautiful extension for Sunrail, don't you think? Airport to the half of the second route, well, that would make a nice commuter route and supplement Brightline in a lot of ways. So I think the path might not be suitable for Brightline, but at least can serve something else.
Yeah, that would make more sense that if the second route were covered by Sunrail and this first route were covered by Brightline. So you would have connections either way. So someone riding Sunrail, let's say there's a hotel on International Drive and they want to say, let's go to Tampa for the day. They can go ahead and take Sunrail up to the Brightline station at the airport and then take Brightline. Or like the Sunrail, maybe they have a Sunrail station over at Disney. I don't know. There's a lot of potential there for Sunrail, I think, in Orlando. But they could be able to do that and then go straight to Tampa or go to Miami or go to Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, or Daytona if that happens. So, yeah. Let's see. Everyone who's watching in the comments, leave in the comments below, which do you think would be the better route for Brightline? You can just put 1 in the comments for State Road 417 or put 2 in the comments for Taft Vineland International Drive. So go ahead and put that in the comments below and we'll have a little vote there. Alright. Another little bit of Brightline news. Nothing really new, but this just came out, so we might as well just go ahead and share it. Brightline is going to announce the exact date for when the service is going to start sometime in the coming month of July. So for those of you who don't know, it was already stated by Ben Porrett, Brightline, and several other spokesmen and women from Brightline that Brightline will restart service in quarter 4 of this year. And the reason why is that they're already seeing motor vehicle traffic in Florida. It has already exceeded the levels of where it was before the pandemic. And trust me, I've been to Florida just recently. The traffic has never been worse. By God, the traffic was horrifying before, but now it's just hellish. Okay, now it's so bad. I don't think even Doom Guy can get rid of all the demons in the traffic of Florida. That's how bad it is there right now. And the reason why is Florida is the most open state right now in terms of the larger states, and due to COVID restrictions. So they're the most open state. B, a lot of businesses are moving down to Florida from places like New York and from California, mostly New York. Okay, New York and Florida share a very special connection. Sometimes that connection can end up for the worse. What we have right now is a lot of New Yorkers now moving down to Florida, mainly because it's easier, and you have a lot of these snowbirds and a lot of these people that we don't. And people in Florida aren't really too fond of them. I can attest to that. The thing is that everybody's moving to Florida. The traffic is now getting horrible. So Brightline, I do think maybe they could start earlier than quarter 4. They could probably start by the beginning of we're heading into quarter 3, so they can probably start at the. They might as well should be starting in July. That would make more sense. Tri-Rail is running service. Amtrak is running service. So there are some people here in the comments that are saying Brightline is stopping service mainly so they can go ahead and put in PTR, which they already have mostly PTR already there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, this is what we already said. So, that's what we'll hopefully see in July. Maybe they'll go ahead and showcase it. So let's see. What do you guys think in the
I mean,
comments? Let us know.
I mean, I think the highways in Florida are the biggest mean of metro selection, but I've also seen we've got a super chat. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually check that out. Akbar Ali, thank you so much for the super chat. Sunrail needs to be every 15 minutes to be viable. I agree. In fact, the turnover time should be a lot closer. But again, there also needs to be a lot more riders for Sunrail out there. And the thing is, it's a lot harder here in the United States to get people to get on rail because they're obsessed with the automobile. And that's due for a number of reasons. It's not just induced by the automobile companies, but people themselves start this vicious cycle of also wanting more automobiles. So the automobile companies keep, satisfying that obsession. So it's like a drug dealer, basically. But instead of opioids, it's also the car addiction. So we have the opioid addiction, and the car addiction here in the United States are the two great evils, you can say. But yeah, look, I do think if more people were on Sunrail, they could be able to decrease their turnaround time. The same thing with Brightline and every other place. Look, if it was like New York, where everybody's taking the train, or the places like in California or in Chicago, then it'd be a lot easier. But we're not there yet until these, like Brightline. Brightline has become a lot more popular as more people start to use it. More people get warmed up to the idea of using a train rather than using their car. So that will help out in the coming years.
You would also need some branches here and there because 15 minutes on one line, that's interesting, but you need branches, and then together when you come on a common port, that's where the trains goes up, more train per hour. So I mean, it also depends on expanding the system, because you can't keep having the same line over and over again. You need to at some point say, okay, now we're gonna grow, now we're gonna go forwards, now we're gonna go to left and right and connect everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. Robert Grunwald asked, once Miami to Orlando happens, a lot of folks will be traveling the 4-hour drive. So, okay, I'm thinking you're saying the 4-hour drive will tend to suck. Yeah, that will happen. Let me see. I got that perfect. Yeah, I got that. That's pretty good. Still needs a little more, but we'll let that fizz down for a bit. But yeah, this is good that we're at least moving forward on that. But I agree, and I've said this, once Miami to Orlando gets done, you're gonna see a lot more movement in the high-speed passenger train industry, because that's the big one. The Miami to Orlando route is a holy grail of high-speed rail in America. That's like the number one route that can get done, because you're taking a major metropolitan area to another major metropolitan area that's also the entertainment and vacation destination for most of the United States and a lot of the world. Although Orlando is, most of the world now that's serving is mostly, it's changed a lot. Because I remember working for a tourist industry in Florida, and it used to be that we had a lot more British, Germans, and Japanese visiting Florida, and now that's changed to a lot of Brazilians and Chinese. So people from all over the world come to Florida. So it has to be serviced, not just the people coming from around the world, but also the people who live and work in Florida, as for a living, because Florida is not just a tourist destination; it's also a state and place to live. When are Brightline jobs open? Brightline does have an area for their recruiting and jobs. If you go on the website for Brightline Careers, it will have it there. So yeah, if you want to work for Brightline, just go ahead and check that out. We have a funny video here from Ruben.
Before we show the video, small service announcement. Can you close the Discord link, because I think a few people want to react.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and put in a. Let's go ahead and put in a Discord over here. Let me see if I can get the link. The link should be in the description below if you guys have seen it. But let me go ahead and get that again, so you can do that. But yeah, Ruben, you wanna explain what we're seeing on the screen right now over here?
Okay, so I went today to Tartu, which is the second biggest town of Estonia, which has around 90,000 people. And I was waiting on the railroad crossing, and suddenly I heard a very familiar sound. In the early 2000s, some Mopex U-boats got exported to Estonia, and they're still in service. Over 58, they're still rolling here. So if you want to see some Mopex running around, I would say grab a plane and go to Estonia and have fun.
Yeah, Missouri Pacifics are running in over there in Estonia. They're a lot of Russian oil trucks, as you see here. So yeah, that's interesting to see that there's some American power that's moving European goods still over there. Of course, I mean they've changed up deliveries and whatnot, but yeah, these are old Missouri Pacifics that are running over in Eastern Europe. So it's funny to see, guys, that a lot of the stuff that we accomplished here as a country before is still running in other places around the world without much of a hitch. So the Discord link, for those of you who want to join in the calls, right over here is in. Oh dear, that's the wrong link. Okay, hold on, let me get this out. So I'm putting the link there in the comments below, so you guys can go ahead and join in. When you join in on the Discord, hopefully you already have a Discord account and you know how things work on Discord. We are in the auditorium stage where you see ArcStream Brightline Timeline to Tampa. So join us there in the stream, so we'll be able to see you and the audience member, and then we can bring you up onto the stage. That's how it works. So Discord link is here. There we go. So we got that in there. All right, let's go to some big news over here. And then afterwards, we'll go ahead and bring in some people who are in the audience, and we'll go ahead and talk about that. So let me go ahead and move this over here. There we go. Why does this OBS keep moving around? I don't know why it keeps doing that. That's annoying. But there we go. All right. So Biden and a bipartisan group of U.S. senators have agreed to a 5-year, nearly $1 trillion, so $973 billion infrastructure framework that includes $579 billion in new spending over that period, $312 billion, which is slated for transportation. Right? So this is very good. So like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, the last time we looked at a Biden infrastructure bill, it had some good. It had a lot of good in there for helping out passenger rail, and a lot more of a share was given to passenger rail, whereas years ago it would usually be that passenger rail in general would get maybe, if it was lucky, 5% of a total transportation bill, while the rest of like the 90 to 95% would go to roads, and then maybe 1% or 2% would go to Amtrak. But it seems things are changing. Again, we also have to understand that this bill, and I do have to interject something. It's a little bit of opinion, but I do have to be honest with this, okay? Because what's funny enough, right now there's a Trump rally going on in Ohio, and you guys know I used to be a fan of Trump, okay? The thing is this: there's a lot of people who still think he's president and that Q is gonna fix all that and whatnot, okay? That's the Q-tard BS is about as bad as people think that Biden is going to fix everything in infrastructure, okay? The same thing happened with the Democrats. This sort of hopium was back in 2008, okay? And Donald Trump was basically sort of Barack Obama, but for the right wing. All right, and you got to understand, if you know American politics and you know how the way things work over here, it's very hard to get things moving on the federal level. Okay, so what this could mean, hopefully, is a framework, and if it does get passed, because very rarely do presidential proposals get passed. It usually becomes a framework that gets picked up here and there, and most transportation things never get passed half the time. But if this is truly a bipartisan group of U.S. senators, because the GOP owns mostly the Senate right now, okay? So if the Senate can pass this through, it will definitely pass the House under Biden's blessing, and this will get passed, hopefully, okay? We've passed bigger bills than this, especially in the last year or so. Big bills, $1 trillion bills have been passed. So I don't even talk about the U.S. debt anymore. I used to talk about that years ago, but that's a moot cause at this point. Nobody cares about the bill. Let whatever debt go up at this point, because it's never gonna get fixed. So we might as well build what we can at this point before the creditors start knocking at the door. That's just the reality, folks. All right, so political rambling done, but you guys love the political ramblings, right? Here we go. So let's look into a little bit of the fact sheet here, as well as what's the difference between, because that's what a lot of you are going to be asking. What is the difference between this bill and the previous bill? And again, these are proposals, not bills. Let me change that. These are proposals, not bills. That's a nice picture of that nor'easter there with the monument and the cherry blossoms. That's a good picture. Whoever took that. But let's get on this. The senators include Rob Portman of Ohio, Christine Sinema of Arizona, Richard Burr, Republican of North Carolina, Chris Coons, Democrat of Delaware, Bill Cassidy, Maggie Hassan, Susan Collins, John Hickenlooper, Lindsey Graham. I always make fun of Lindsey Graham. Like, he's got a girl's name. Come on, who has a girl's name? Mark Kelly, Jerry Moran, Angus King, Lisa Murkowski, Joe Manchin, Mitt Romney, Jeanne Shaheen, Mike Rounds, John Tester, Tom Tillis, Mark Warner, and Todd Young from Indiana. So there's a lot of people here. A lot of big names. You have Romney, you have Graham, Lindsey Graham in there. You have a lot of people from a lot of Republicans here, a lot more than I think Democrats. You have Joe Manchin in there, so Mark Warner. So there's a lot of big names here meeting on this bill. So if these guys, okay, they agree on absolutely nothing, if these guys can agree on this bill, then it should work. Now, let's get to the big meat and potatoes about this, because a lot of this article just goes into, talking about it and opinions and, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about the real opinions over here and the real facts, okay? So, there's some fact sheets over here, and again, I'll put these in the comments, and if you guys want a link to this, or I'll put them over in the description so you guys can see this. But basically what they want to do is that the framework calls for this. They want to improve healthy, sustainable options for millions of Americans by modernizing and expanding transit and rail networks across the country. That's the first thing. So good. So they're talking about rail first, which needs to be talked about. Rail needs to be priority number one when it comes to transportation infrastructure. And again, infrastructure, there's a lot that goes in infrastructure, okay? It's not just, trains, planes, and automobiles, but it's also, your sewage systems, your water systems, your electricity, your broadband, okay? Because, look, if there's something, the thing of saying, build back better and make America great again, because some people say these two slogans, or say either one of the slogans is dumb or something else, right? And which is funny because this cap, which it was a parody cap that I made. It says "Make America's Railroads Great Again," so it was supposed to be like a MAGA cap, but it's MARGA, okay? And I am trying to get some caps on for sale on the spring, the Teespring. Well, it's now they call it Spring now, or Creator Spring. I don't know what the heck they're calling it now. But I've got some more merch on that, and we'll look a little bit into that just for fun. But I am trying to bring different caps. I'm going to bring like a blue cap that says "Build Rail Better," and I'll see if I can get these on, because depending on where you live, you don't want a red cap of any sort unless you want to get your throat slit or something. So just be careful. Yeah, I know. I don't want like somebody dead and like it comes up on the news. It's like racist MAGA cap was shot to death, but in fact he had a Make America Railroad Great Again. I'm like, oh no, we had one of the club members killed because they had a red cap and they walked into the wrong part of town. Yeah.
One way to spread awareness of American Rail Club.
Yeah, no, I don't want to spread it that way. Look, I don't care how many millions of views it gets. It's not, the death of one person for that is not worth it. Absolutely not. That's just, I mean, it's funny to think about, but, it's wrong. All right, so look at this. Okay, so second priority, repair and rebuild our roads. So it's good that we have federal investment in passenger rail first. Okay, public transit, passenger rail, that's first. Repair and rebuild our roads and bridges. Not build more roads, because we don't need any more roads. We need to repair what we have, okay? Because what we have is falling apart. All right, because like I said before, make America great again, build back better. It's all on the premise that America hasn't been doing quite well for the last several decades, okay? We've been kind of in a big slump, okay? And apart from just looking at our health and everything else, you just have to go outside to see proof of that. The roads are falling apart. There's some places that could look like they come out of Brazil or some other third world country. No offense to anybody in Brazil or anyone down south of the border. But, I mean, there's even some places south of the border that look better than some American cities. You just look at that, and that's what people first see when they get up. Okay? So our infrastructure is vitally important, and our infrastructure does affect health. Okay, because if we have more walkable cities and places where people don't have to get a car, they can just go ahead, wake up in the morning, shower, change, put on their clothes, walk a block to either a bus station or a train station, hopefully a train station, get on there for 15 minutes and walk over to work. And then that takes away from an hour commute instead of being stuck in traffic and paying, hundreds of dollars every month in both insurance and leases, which is funny because I was just talking to my friend who's still in Florida, and we were just talking about the insurance rates in Florida have gotten even worse. I mean, what I pay for 6 months of insurance here in Indiana is 1 month of insurance in Florida. It's insane, the prices there in Florida for insurance. I was paying more insurance than what I paid for my car, and I pay my car in cash. I just buy used all the time. Repair and rebuild our roads. Build a national network of electric vehicle chargers. So they're still on the electric vehicle charger, along highways and in rural and disadvantaged communities. The largest investment in EV infrastructure in history, the bipartisan infrastructure framework. Here we go. We're still kind of obsessed with the 500,000 EV chargers, and we'll talk a little bit about EVs. Electrify thousands of school and transit buses across the country to reduce harmful emissions and drive domestic manufacturing of zero-emission vehicles and components. And I'm all okay with that. The thing is that manufacturing needs to be done here in America. You cannot outsource these batteries to China or to India or to any other places. They need to be built here in America, okay? I don't know if we can probably source the lithium from here in America, because lithium mining it kind of hurts the environment pretty badly. But if it can be done here, there's probably more regulation. Again, there needs to be a balance in regulation. Too much regulation and you push people out of the business. Too little regulation and, you're having arms and fingers chopped into your Wendy's chili. Even though with regulation, you'll still have that. So, look, there needs to be a balance, right? Connect every American to reliable, high-speed internet. Just as the federal government made a historic effort to provide electricity to every American nearly 100 years ago. Upgrade our power infrastructure. Not that FPL down in Florida is going to fix that, because they'll charge you more and say that we're getting prepared for hurricanes, and the next hurricane comes and everybody's out of electricity again. Create a first-of-its-kind infrastructure financing authority. Make the largest investment in addressing legacy pollution in American history, and preparing more of our infrastructure for the impact of climate change, cyber attacks, and extreme weather events. They're going to be pushing more of the cyber attack thing. It really has more to do with, people clicking links in emails that they shouldn't be. Let's be honest with that. All right. So what does it call for? What are the meat and potatoes of this? All right. So transportation, the total of $312 billion. 109 of it will go to roads, bridges, and major projects. 109 billion. 11 billion to safety. 49 billion to public transit. 66 billion to passenger and freight rail. So that's a big difference now. Okay. Whereas it used to be 10% of this number, passenger and freight rail would maybe get 10 billion. It's getting 66 billion compared to roads, and that's including public transit. So if you put those two together, it's more than what roads and bridges are, about on par. Electric buses and transit, so that also includes there. So yeah, actually rail is getting more in this bill. EV infrastructure, instead of getting, it was like a ridiculous number last time, now it's getting $7.5 billion instead of, it was some ridiculous number of like $250 billion or something like that. Airports are getting $25 billion. Whatever reconnecting communities are is $1 billion. Maybe it's getting rid of some interstates that segregate and destroy American cities. Ports and waterways, $16 billion. They're still important to this day. Infrastructure financing, $20 billion. Other infrastructure, $266 billion. Water infrastructure, $55. Broadband infrastructure, $65. Environmental remediation, $21. Power infrastructure, $73. Western water storage, because California keeps drying up, $5 billion. Resilience, $47 billion. Whatever resilience is, because that's a little. I don't know what this resilience means or what it entails. I can only guess it maybe has something to do with the cyber attack stuff. I'm not quite sure. Proposed financing sources for the new investment. Reduce the IRS. Yeah, you're just going to take whatever money and just print it. Yeah, there you go. There's proposed financing sources from new investment. Print it. There you go. Done. you guys know it. Come on. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. All right. Now, let's look at this in comparison to the old one, because now this is a lot better now. So before, the $2.3 trillion plan had $115 billion for roads and bridges, whereas the new one now has $109 billion. All right, so it's actually a little bit less now for roads, which, it's about the same more or less, but that's good. This thing was something that we all disagreed under. We knew that it was garbage, and we knew that this was BS. $400 billion for elderly and disabled care. And they were mainly saying that, look, it's not that we hate grandma or anything like that, or we want to, throw grandma off the cliff. If you guys remember that old political ad back in the days, I certainly remember that. That was like back during the Obama days, back in like 2010. Nobody wants to throw grandma and grandpa off the cliff, okay? This was something that they said under excuse, whoa, we have to get young people back to work. So if we, the people that already own houses and already have, all their financial set in order, we need to give them more money. So Timmy and Tammy living, at home can go to work. It makes no sense whatsoever. So that's completely taken off now. The other big thing that got taken off, where is it? Where's the electrical vehicles here? There we are. $175 billion for electric vehicle, for electric vehicle charging stations. But that's now changed. Where over here is it? Yeah, it changed down to $7.5 billion. So that's a big needed cut. Okay, because that was insane how much they were going to spend. $175 billion. So instead, now we have for passenger public transit and passenger freight rail $115 billion. Okay, that's a lot better. Okay, yeah, a lot better. Because modern public transit was $85 billion. Invest in passenger and freight rail service is $80 billion, so that's about $165 billion. So yeah, it's less. The whole thing is less, but it's a much larger share now of what public transit. Look at this; it's on the top of the list. Public and transit and passenger freight rail is on the top of the list. When has this ever happened in modern American history? Oh, finally, it is here, guys. It's finally on the top. Now, hopefully it will get done. Because remember the last time, there was, it was basically Obama, but instead this time he was in, blonde IPA lager flavor instead of a dark beer flavor, was saying a $1 trillion infrastructure plan, and that didn't get anywhere. So now we have another $1 trillion infrastructure plan, except this time, it will mostly be investments, as the bipartisan plan is the biggest dedicated. Oh, wait, here we are. This is the largest federal investment in public transit history. That's what we have. And the largest federal investment in passenger rail since Amtrak was created. Now, I'm not quite sure where $66 billion of this is going to go to Amtrak, but I'm pretty sure Amtrak is going to get a massive amount of this. I would guess maybe around 30 billion of this. It will probably get. I'm not quite sure, and if I could, I'm trying to see where they have like the actual. Unless this is all they wrote down, I wouldn't be surprised if that's all they wrote down and met on, because these plans can usually be very slim in terms of their explanation. But we'll find that, and maybe we'll talk about it later in the week. But let me know what you guys think below in the comments. I think this is a good thing. If it actually gets passed and it actually works, I think this is a very good thing. So let's see, Ruben, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm glad that the infrastructure plan is actually going to be about infrastructure, because that's the most important part.
Yes.
Seeing rail, trains, and public transit above cars just shows the mental shift. I know this is the bipartisan support, so it also includes Republicans and Democrats, so that's even better. It means it's gonna pass. Maybe they're gonna add some funky things to it, but at least it's gonna pass. So that's a good thing. It's gonna get done. And it's a good thing we're gonna see that shift happening. And it's also good to have resilience. That you're also gonna say, oh wow, Republicans are also talking about climate change. Wow. I mean, at least it shows that everyone's realizing, okay, infrastructure, we kind of need to step up our game, and it's good everyone's in it, and that they're also making the right choices, because it could have been oh so easy to say, just build more roads, bro. It's gonna fix, just build more roads. Now
Yeah.
we're gonna say more trains, more buses, more street cars, more light rail. That's the way to go, and I like that idea very, very much. Now, if they could only stop renting money, I would even be happier.
I don't know if that's gonna happen anytime soon. The printers must go brrr. That's just been happening, and that's not gonna stop. But at least if that money can be printed and be used to have actual physical assets that the people of America can use, that will be something that can work. Right, because you can't take those away. I mean, what are the banks and the creditors going to do? I mean, are the Illuminati's not going to wreck down the lines like some people think or whatever? It's like, oh, you didn't pay back our 0% APR rates, or what's the Fed going to do? So yeah, it's better that we have something there. And that's the thing, the reluctance to build infrastructure for the last 50 years, especially rail infrastructure, between both parties is quite alarming, as it's not a priority for any of them. Both talk about it, but it hasn't been a major priority. Now, hopefully, at this rate, now that we're in the worst recession in American history, probably since the Great Depression. Some people say it's worse. That's all up for debate. I'm not going to talk about it here, but we have an time now to go ahead and actually build actual infrastructure with so many people out of work. And I know they keep saying, well, actually the employment rate is going up. That's not true. The unemployment rate is still upwards of about 20%, or 25%, if not even more, of the real unemployment rate. So don't listen to what your state says. If they say, oh, our unemployment rate is right back to where we were, we're at 2%, and all that stuff. That's BS. That's false. We need to get people back to work, and the best way to do that is through blue collar jobs or working jobs, like building infrastructure. Okay, because not just creates blue collar jobs, but through the onset of that, it creates other economic prosperity throughout the areas that it touches. We've seen this in places like Japan. We've seen this even in China. Okay, where they said, the economic prosperity in the area where they've got a high-speed rail station went up by 10%. 10% is a big deal when you're talking about billions near trillions of dollars. Okay, that's a big deal. Okay, it's a difference between, several 100,000 having a job and not having a job, especially in a place that has a massive population like China. The same thing has happened in Europe. Okay, the same thing has happened all over the world, where they've actually built high-speed rail and other passenger rail infrastructure. Okay, so it's got to be, it has to be a priority. So this is good. This is real good. Anything you want to add there, Ruben?
I mean, it's just showing how much rail can mean to something. I want to share this actually. Do you know in the 19th century at which country was the fourth biggest industrial power in the world, and was briefly for I think 5 to 10 years also the number one industrial power in the world?
I'm gonna guess Belgium. You're saying?
Exactly. And you know how we did that? We were the master builders when it came to building railroads, tram lines, infrastructure. We were the king, and we had so many railroads and tram lines that at one point, remember this, Belgium is the size of Maryland. We had over 10,000 kilometers of tram and train line at the same time.
Yeah.
And that shows how much infrastructure can do to your economy. It can jumpstart your economy into insane growth, and when your economy is having insane growth, you can also have sustainable growth, meaning that everyone can get a job.
Right.
And that's the most important part. Infrastructure is basically the bloodline of your country. If you have bad infrastructure, you're gonna have bad bloodline. You're gonna have bad health. If you have good infrastructure, you have good bloodline. You're gonna have good health, and that's the most important part. Infrastructure is the foundation of the country, so invest in it. It's gonna pay itself back
Bingo.
most 2 times, or at least 10 times more.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have said it better. I mean, I mentioned this when I wrote that little photo essay about Japan. If you guys have seen that, we're gonna start trying to bring back articles onto Medium. And if you guys want to write articles for us, we'll try to put that on there. So you guys will be published if you want. We're trying to do that, and maybe if we get this big enough, hopefully we can start paying people and stuff like that for articles and for work, because that's what we want to get the club up to. If we can start getting us over to like 100,000 subscribers, which, by the way, guys, like this video if you're having a good time now. Also, make sure to ring that bell, so whenever we are on or whenever there's a new video, you'll be able to go ahead and see it. So let's go ahead and check on the audience here. Oh, hi, Cass is here. Let's bring him on here. Let's see if we can make this a three-way panel now.
Hello?
Hey there, what's up, man?
None much. I just joined in while you were talking about the infrastructure bill, and it makes me wonder if you guys were talking about the big news that happened to Texas Central recently.
No, we haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, so big victory for Texas Central. The Texas Supreme Court has tossed out the Leon County case, and the litigation after 5 years is finally over.
Woo! All right, finally. Wait, how come I didn't hear about this? I mean, I was searching a whole bunch of stuff on Google, and I got a whole bunch of alerts. I didn't get something as big as this. Now, thank you, man, for finding that. Let's see if we can bring that up.
Well, me and Ziggy were talking about it in Transport Central like a couple days ago because it was like big news, and yeah.
Shoot, why didn't I get this? I know it happens sometimes. Like I miss a whole bunch of things. It just happens.
We also have a different story in the private channel. We found an article from a law journal, and then but because it was behind a paywall, we managed to copy and paste it into a Google Doc so you could see it.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that.
It's in a retreat text.
Yeah, we'll definitely look at that, and we're gonna see if I can do something this week on that. I don't know why I can't bring up any articles. You got a link to it or something that we can probably put it up, or?
Yeah. I don't know which. I could just DM it to you and you can pull it up.
Yeah, just DM it and I'll go ahead and put it up so everybody else can see it. Yeah, but that's awesome. So yeah, that's something to celebrate about. Definitely right there.
Yeah, I mean, I really love about the Texas Central thing is that basically it's so textbook college situation. You're addressing it to the wrong professor, aka wrong court, and you are slightly delayed, let's say over 164 days too late. So,
yeah, because it's ridiculous that they're trying to go ahead and say Texas Central Railway is not a railroad. Therefore, it cannot use eminent domain to build infrastructure. what on earth, I don't know where they thought they were going to be able to get away with that. They said, well, maybe because it's not a railway right now and it has no rail. Technically, it's not a railroad, even though it's literally called Texas Central Railway. And it's blocking a whole lot of prosperity for people. We've seen this happen in Florida. Indian River County tried to do the same thing, and they've wasted millions of taxpayer dollars for something that could have been solved with just a couple $100,000. It's stupid. That's what it is. Let me see if I can bring up the.
Okay, so this isn't an article, but it is a tweet from Texas Central themselves regarding it.
All right, let me see if I got it here. There we are. All right, let's bring up the tweet. All right. There we are. Let me see if I can copy the.
Also, members in the audience can't see it, so maybe read it out loud.
Yeah,
so that...
I got it. I'm bringing it up on Why is the Discord link coming up? Let me see if I can just copy and paste this into because it's trying to open up another browser. For some reason, Windows went ahead and changed my default browser to Edge. Nobody uses Edge. All right, so here we go, guys. All right, our statement regarding the Texas Supreme Court's decision to deny the review case against the review of the case against Texas Central issued this morning. So this is what they said this morning. The Texas Supreme Court declined to hear the case, so they threw the case out. That had challenged Texas Central's authority to use eminent domain to build a high-speed train between Houston and Dallas. The Supreme Court refused to review a Texas Court of Appeals decision from last year, in which the Court of Appeals concluded that Texas Central qualifies as an entity entitled to use survey and eminent domain authority under the Texas Transportation Code. The court's denial of review should put an end to over 5 years of contentious litigation and clear the path for Texas Central to bring the high-speed train to Texas. Finally, that case is out. And what they said, 5 years. That was 5 years that it is taken away from Texas Central Railway. Well, not entirely 5 years, but it's taken away at least 2 or 3 years away from Texas Central to actually
I was going to say, to be fair, Texas Central has been doing more than just dealing with lawsuits. They've actually been compiling the environmental impact statements, negotiating contracts, and all the important stuff.
Yeah, and the EIS study has been getting done or whatnot. The thing is that it has slowed down a bit. That is the one thing I do have to say, that at least they could have already started building. Like, they could not start building until that case gets through. So at least now, since the EIS study is getting through, and they already have who's building the construction and the partners of who's operating and all that, that's actually something that can get done now. So this is quite good, guys. This is very good. So yeah.
Also,
thanks for that.
Yeah. Another thing, the big story for the NIMBYs as well. I assume you're aware of the various counties in Texas suing the FRA.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this article is this is going to be a good laugh. I'm going to send this to you. It's an article about that case, and it's basically the biggest slap in the face to an attorney's career. So basically, they filed there was like a 60-day period where Texas Against High Speed Rail had to file a case against the FRA,
right.
And they overshot it by 162 days. Yeah. They were 162 days late. But it gets even better. They filed it to the wrong court.
Yeah.
The wrong court.
What?
You can't make this shit up. Like, they filed it to a court that didn't have the authority to conduct the case. There's more detail. I'm not a lawyer, but whoever wrote this,
I've worked with again. I'm not a lawyer myself, but I've worked with enough paralegals and enough lawyers in my life. I mean, hey, I was president of the Law Academy back in high school, so maybe that counts. And I was on a pre-law track, but I can get enough. Okay, so feds say Texas countries Texas County's bullet train suit in wrong court. The federal government asked the Texas federal judge Tuesday to toss a lawsuit from 6 counties, local residents, and an anti-rail group. Most of the anti-rail group is mostly lobbied by oil money. We're not kidding. We looked into that. Seeking to block development of a proposed high-speed passenger rail line between Dallas and Houston, saying the suit is untimely and in the wrong court. The U.S. Department of Transportation moved to dismiss an April lawsuit filed by mostly rural counties, Freestone, Navarro, Grimes, Waller, Leon, and Madison. The anti-rail group known as Texans Against High-Speed Rail. It's always against. All these groups are always called, Citizens Against, Texans Against, everything against rail. And several residents claiming the Federal Railroad Administration unlawfully rubber-stamped Texas Central Railroad's LLC's plans to build and operate a high-speed passenger rail system using Central Japan Railway Company's Tokaido Shinkansen HSR technology. Let me see. Okay, additionally, let me see. According to the government's motion to dismiss, the Western Texas District of Texas lacks subject matter jurisdiction because any legal challenges to the Federal Railroad Administration's safety rules must be heard in a court of appeals. Why did they put it in the Western District of Texas? That's not even anywhere near where that's happening. I'm pretty sure they were trying to get it to a friendlier court or something like that. And they're like, dude, we're the wrong court. Additionally, the plaintiffs filed suit 162 days after the FRA administration published its final rule of particular applicability, or RPA, for Texas Central in November. Under the Hobbs Act, challenges to final agency actions must be made within 60 days, according to the DOT's dismissal bid. Yeah, and they had probably a number of days to go ahead and file a public, lawsuit even before, or public comments during the public commenting period. So they completely missed that too. All right. Okay, I think it was just saying. It is undisputed that the RPA is a final agency action. It is also clear that the RPA was issued pursuant to FRA's authority to promulgate railroad safety laws, the DOT said in its dismissal bid. Accordingly, because FRA's RPA is the final action of the Secretary of Transportation within the meaning of 49 U.S.C. Code Section 20014, the same statutory provision requires challenges like this shall be brought in the appropriate court of appeals. The Hobbs Act similarly strips this court of jurisdiction. The plaintiffs, who have called the project a colossal mess and a waste of resources, while themselves wasting resources and making a colossal mess of themselves, unironically, allege the FRA flouted the National Environmental Policy Act and the Administrative Procedure Act by conducting a shoddy review of the rail line's potential environmental impacts, signing off on the proposed use of expensive Japanese bullet train technology that cannot connect to existing railway infrastructure, among other things. I mean, they bring up the stupidest things against this. This is insane. Let's see over here. Anything else after that? Because that seems to be most of it. Anything in here that stuck out to you more, Highcast?
Not really. I was just laughing my head off at the fact that they filed at the wrong court. This is 4 months late, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not more than that about.
I mean, gentlemen, I would say this is a certified bruh moment.
Bruh. Yeah, I'm definitely making a video on adding that.
Where is that? Where's my soundboard?
Yeah, I've dropped.
I don't remember.
I've dropped the ball on the soundboard.
I don't remember the keybind, so I gotta pull it up press a button.
One more time.
All right.
Bruh.
Beautiful.
Oh man, that is hilarious. This is the stupidity of these people. These NIMBYs will do whatever they can in order to stop this. I mean, look what they did in Florida, wasting even more money to go ahead and stop Brightline. And now this, they can't even get into the right court. So yeah, I wonder how much money they spent. This wasn't even by. I don't know how much these counties spent, and how much these groups have spent. But I gotta look into that, and then my God, what a colossal waste of money. They say this is a waste of money, while themselves they can't even get a federal case or a case to the FRA within the right span of time. This is so silly. All right, let's see who else is in the audience. You want to stay on board, Highcast, or you want to?
I mean, those were the only two stories that I have. It's just big Texas Central news that I think you should cover, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going this week and making a video about it, so people can see more in detail. I'm trying to see if I can get Carlos Aguilar or somebody else from TCR to come on the show, and we can probably do an interview with them like we did with Robert Eccles a few years ago. So let's see if we can get that done, because those were pretty good. All right.
I can't see the audience I can't see the chat, so I don't know what they think of it.
Yeah, let me see the chat over here. Let me see. Anti-rail groups are whack. Just the Hillbilly 777. Yeah, they are wacky. Awesome shite. Holy crap! You would think with NIMBYs with that much incompetence should have been a breeze to go through. Yep, exactly. How many watching viewers here are we on tonight? We have 43 now watching, which is not bad. It's about it's a little bit below average, but it's pretty good. We have a lot more activity going on in the comments for that proportion of people. Texas Central is a railroad company. Yes, it is, Adam. Texas Central is not a railroad. Insert bottomless pit head. Yeah, it's silly. Yeah. Look, this is what we're going against, guys. You know, people that just don't want it and will do whatever excuse they can in order to push back against the progress of railroads and passenger rail. But yeah, this is something that we're gonna go ahead and see if we can do a video on later on in the week. All right, let's see who else is on board. In the audience, we have Joachim or Joachim. Let's see how to pronounce his name. Joachim. All right.
Joachim.
Let's bring Joachim on board. We're inviting him to speak. Yeah, this works a little bit better because then people can go ahead when they're invited to speak to come in. All right.
Yes.
Joachim.
Hello.
Welcome aboard.
Hello, Joachim.
Thank you. I really wanted to say something about the northern alternative for the Brightline going to Disney.
Sure.
Yeah. The thing is, we all say that it's a bit more expensive, or $1 billion more expensive. But what I thought, or what I've heard in the past, is that there was meant to be a light rail, or even before that, a maglev system which would go to the iDrive area.
Yes, there was. In fact, I used to work with the guy a little bit before who started that. Yeah, so that used to be something before, and then the Orlando city or the county area disproved it or not approved it. And then they were saying, oh, we're going to work on a light rail system. And then that hasn't really gone aboard either. So, yeah, I mean, something like Sunrail would probably work better in that sense, you know, in my opinion. And I think everybody else is here thinks the same.
But what I at least was thinking is the money that was properly set aside for that light rail project could be set aside for a heavier rail project, which could go to the iDrive area.
Yeah, that's very much a possibility. Again, let's hope and see that once we'll have more info by the end of July. So maybe once that's done, if Brightline gets its preferred route, or if it gets the other route, we'll probably know more of what alternatives are being planned by the Orlando area. So yeah, I do agree with that. That probably the money that they were spending should be reallocated over to Sunrail.
Yes, and another point which I have learned in the past, when the Florida High Speed Rail Authority was planning a route through Orlando, I have heard a story about, or the thing that Disney was really advocating for the alternatives that Brightline now wants to use. So, do you think that Disney really has a huge amount of influence on that alignment, or do you think that's really mostly up to the choice of Brightline?
Oh yeah, I would definitely say Disney does have a lot of influence in that area. They donate a lot to the politicians in that area. And B, they're a major landholder because they own their own land there in Disney. It's basically the city of Disney. I mean, they own what, like 30 square miles, something like that, something ridiculous in that sense. But they have that area, so and they have the most amount of visitors in Orlando. Definitely, they hold a lot of influence.
I mean, I can add something to it. Jochem, I mean, you're from the Netherlands, probably.
Yes, I am.
Guessed it right.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear his Dutch accent and also his name, Jochem. I mean, that's as Dutch as it can get.
Yeah, you're a lot better with the Europeans. Well, I mean, you are European, Ruben. So yeah.
I mean, I'm Belgian after all, but I mean, if you're in Europe, I mean, Western Europe, and you've ever taken the Thalys and TGV have basically a direct connection to Marne-la-Vallée. Marne-la-Vallée is a train station specifically designed for Disneyland in Paris. So basically, before the amusement park Disneyland in Paris was built, they already lobbied so hard to get a train station done with a high-speed rail connection. So if they can do it successfully in Europe, they will probably do it very successfully in Orlando. And I don't blame them. And actually, I applaud it if they're going to do it because it's going to mean so much more extra travel for Brightline. It's also going to deliver much more peoples between the airport and the Disneyland station because it's all about making money, but also transporting people. And each person taken by the train is one car less on the road. So in the end, everyone is going to win by this decision. So I would say when Disney is going to lobby to have the train connection done, I would say let them do, because that's maybe one of the few lobbies I actually am in favor for.
Yes, but in my opinion, the real problem with the Southern alternative is that that's probably why that is definitely why Disney favors that alternative, is that it prevents direct connection with the iDrive Universal area.
Yeah.
And I think personally that a direct connection between Disney and Universal would be very beneficial to both parties. So, yes.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
let's
it
continue.
doesn't have to be a or story. It can be an and story. You know, you can have the second alternative. It can be Sunrail. Sunrail can have a connection to the airport and connect on Brightline, and Brightline can have a direct connection with Disney. I don't think they have to go to fight each other. I think they can complement each other because the second alternative has some very funky bends in the section and can slow down the trains, and speed and time means money. So I would say either way, if one alternative is chosen, the other alternative should be utilized by another means of transportation, preferably heavy rail, such as Sunrail.
Which is another thing that's pretty interesting is that when Disney World is connected by rail, is that the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim will be the last Disney park or Disney resort that isn't connected by rail in the world.
Yeah, when unironically it was the first Disney park.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean, speaking of that, it would be funny because we did mention in the last video that Brightline would be the first high-speed rail project to actually be running passengers in California, should actually everything get built up. And Anaheim is not that far away from Los Angeles for, let's say, an extension of Brightline West to go down to that area.
I've actually looked a bit at the area, and yes, I'm actually a bit of a theme park and roller coaster enthusiast.
I can tell, yeah, from your avatar, man. You got
yes, that's a roller coaster in Cedar Point in Ohio.
Nice.
Which is
yeah.
I've never been to the United States, but that's a ride I really want to ride.
Yeah, definitely. We're known for a lot of our roller coasters and theme parks over here.
Yes, the tallest is in America. It's to be specific, it's Kingda in Six Flags Great Adventure.
Yeah, it's one of the one of the fastest steel roller coasters there.
Yes. It is the second fastest. There's only one roller coaster that goes faster than that ride.
Yeah, I think it's like the one in Dubai that they opened up or something like
Yeah,
that. The
it,
Ferrari one, or
Yeah, Formula Rosa.
yeah. I had like a book of like roller coasters when I was a kid, so that's why I kind of know about all of that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes, but the thing is, if you look at the Anaheim area, is that the Anaheim Arctic Transit Center is actually pretty close to Disney World. So, in my opinion, you shouldn't really build other than a light rail connection from other directions. You should really, for the heavy rail options, you should really connect the existing Arctic station with a high quality transit solution to the Disney resort.
Yeah.
I don't really think a direct heavy rail connection is the correct way in that area.
Yeah. And someone's saying in the comments over here, imagine using roller coasters for transit. It definitely would be a fun ride. I'll say that, but maybe not the most comfortable after a while. But hey, it's the same. It's the same function. I mean, it's on a rail, so that's sort of what it is.
Yeah, I could ride roller coasters all day long.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on board.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Take care, man. All right, so we're gonna go ahead to Cornman. It's a Conrail train with a gun. 1911 pointed right at us. Which, funny enough, we got something to talk about with that. Let me see if I can. Let me see. Where's
He's not asking to go up on stage.
Okay. All right then. That makes sense. Okay.
But
so
we do have 2 requests from David Mitchell and Darian Frias.
All right. So David Mitchell was.
Or is it?
Yeah, David Mitchell was next, so we'll go ahead and add him on, and then we'll probably add Darlin Frias after that.
Hey, Demetrius.
Hey, David, how you doing, man?
Real tired and worn out from work today.
Oh, jeez, man. Well, good thing you're just chilling with us now, so it's a good way to end the day.
Dude, I had a 9-hour shift today.
Yeah, I know that feel, man. It's what it is, but at least you're working hard, man.
True. But I had 5 days off, and I just came back, and I got my butt whooped.
Well, at least you're there, so you're good. You're doing good, man. And so, what do you think about some of the articles that we brought up today?
Freaking nuts. Also, I got another article that you might want to look at. It's about the Alberta to Alaska plan.
Interesting.
Oh, the A2A railway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I haven't heard anything new from A2A, but then again, I haven't really been looking into it that much.
Well, something just popped up about 5 days ago about it.
What does it say?
Well, let me check because it... Be 1 minute. Let me check.
Yeah, definitely. And if you got a link to that, just DM it to me, and I'll go ahead and put it up here.
Oh, my wife said, hey.
Oh, hey, I'll say hi to her, too.
Alright, well, I'm getting ready to send it to you to 1 minute.
The last news I've heard of was the Trump approving the border crossing permit for A2A back in September of 2020, so it was a while ago.
Yeah, that was the only thing left, but yeah, I haven't heard anything else. It's kind of the same thing like the Northwest Cascadia route that they're trying to do, the super high speed rail that they've been planning.
Oh yeah, the one going to Vancouver.
Yeah, that's another one that hasn't really gotten that much news, but that's definitely another corridor that definitely has a lot of promise.
Yeah, and it's a big vital line too. You know, a lot of people travel that vital line.
My question is, how are they going to build an alignment across? Because that's a very dense suburban and urban corridor where they're apart from Highway 5 and the current Amtrak route, which is pretty curvy. I don't know where they're going to build a high-speed rail alignment.
All they have to do is do underground. All right, I sent it to you, Dimitri.
All right, I got it. Let me see if
It's
I can
expensive though. Like,
I don't think it's going to be all underground. That can't be. I mean, most of the alignment would probably be something similar to. And again, you got to know, realize that region's a lot more mountainous than, let's say, either Texas or even California. At some areas there. Okay, so here we are. So Alberta to Alaska rail project files for creditor protection after lender goes into receivership. All right, so let's look into this. So the
Can you
corporation.
DM me the link?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll DM it to you, or maybe David will DM it to you. I don't know. Here, I'll do it here just in case.
DM it to him because my
Alright,
thing kind
I
of
got it.
crashed
Just
for a
did.
minute.
Yeah. All right. So let's read this. The corporation pledging to build $22 billion freight railway connecting Alaska and Alberta has filed for creditor protection. Okay, so it looks like they're moving forward. They're moving for creditor protection. The Calgary-based company said the protection will allow it to pursue a court-supervised sale or refinancing of the development stage of the project after its main lender, Bridging Finance, was placed in receivership in April. Earlier this month, the court appointed receiver of Bridging Finance, Price Waterhouse Coopers, called a $140 million loan made to A2A by Bridging Finance to protect against the company's assets being liquidated. A2A obtained creditor protection late Friday, the company said, released Wednesday. All right, so basically what that means, sort of similar how into the United States when you make a corporation or when you make an LLC and stuff like that. And Canadian law, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who is from Canada, this is sort of the same thing that, they're going ahead and setting themselves up to get loans or whatever Canada's their version of private activity bonds or anything like that in order to go ahead and build this project. It does seem like there's some questions here about the company's founder in this article. Let's see. Will not involve company founder Sean McCoshin and instead will be driven by a third-party consultant. Yeah, this is what happens when you make a company. An LLC or a company, depending on what type of company it is, will be a separate entity from you. So you could be, completely in debt and whatnot, but your company is considered a separate person and a separate entity. So that's what they're doing over here.
And Dimitri, there is 4 areas in the Yukon that have track that they can begin with. Like, there are 4 different spots with track already where they can begin to track it all the way to Alaska. Like, there are
Really?
4 different
Where?
spots.
Because the only place I know of with trackage in Yukon Territory is the White Pass Railway, which runs from Skagway to
Not
Carcross.
quite. Like, right toward I forgot the one that begin with NWT.
Watson Creek.
Not the Watson Creek. It northwest Canada, or I'm having a brain fart.
Fort Selkirk?
It above BC. It like right between where 3 of the places, like BC, Yukon, and what is the third area?
Oh,
right up?
are you talking about? That's not in Yukon Territory. That's in British Columbia. It's
Like
Fort No, it's not McMurray. It's Fort Nelson, I think.
Yes. They got
Yeah.
trackage up there. They can begin there because it's a lot closer.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the Athabasca oil fields are located in Alberta. They're not located in British Columbia. That's why we're building all the way to Alberta and connecting at high level, rather than simply starting at Fort Nelson.
But yeah, there are a ton of different areas up there. Like, I might send you some of the locations because I did map out the area heavily back over a year ago.
I've mapped the whole thing on Google Earth before.
Like the whole area up there in Canada, the mountains and stuff. They're going to have to build a ton of bridges,
Yeah.
and tunnels.
Yeah. I don't know about tunnels, but yeah, there's going to be lots of river crossings because it will be following a lot of streams and rivers.
Yeah, that's right at the Rocky Mountain tributary right there where it starts.
Oh, and also there another thing, like, Dimitri, you remember about a month ago when I brought up about Conrail?
Yeah.
There is another railroad that they actually did brought back, the Rock Island.
Yeah, the Rock Island Railroad, yeah.
Yeah, they brought it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading the Trains article about that, a while back. So, it's good to see, some of these, older Class 3 or, Class 2 railroads
Wait, I'm
come back.
confused. What do you mean bring back the Rock Island? Like,
Yeah.
bringing it back to life?
Yeah.
Basically,
They-
the company, because Rock Island, the name was a public domain.
Yeah, they just rebranded themselves. They're nowhere where the actual Rock Island was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I thought the Rock Island was history when it went
Yeah.
bankrupt in 1970.
Yeah. Now it lives further on in the south.
It was, but there are loopholes and stuff. But they did brought it back, but at a short line railroad because Union Pacific don't have the name. They did not buy the name, so they were up for grabs.
I mean, the Rock Island has been split into so many different sections of track, like Union Pacific, the Iowa Interstate. I'm pretty sure there are a bunch of other railroads that go as far south as Texas that probably own former Rock Island trackage. But yeah, I'm only familiar with like in Iowa, where about the Rock Island.
Yeah. Basically, you're all familiar with it in foreign land.
Yeah.
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 Okay. I mean, I guess we have a lot more subjects to deal with in futures, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely something. But we do have to do like an episode on this because this is pretty important. So we have to like a little bit of a foray into freight railroad, and I think this makes a good starting point for that, at least for the club. Yeah, but thank you, David. Thank you so much.
You know, man.
All right, take care, man. Get some rest.
I will because I gotta be at work at 10 in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
All right.
All right, be safe, guys.
All right,
I'll talk to you
All right.
later.
Bye.
take care, man. All right.
All right. So the next one is I think it's Cornman or Darian Frias.
Well, Cornman was here first, so we'll go ahead and bring Cornman on, and then we'll give it a break. Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Speaking of Conrail, Cornman, you're on. You're on board, Cornman. Oh man, Cornman, just check your mic, see if it's working, man.
I see he muted himself and then unmuted.
Yeah.
So
May be
I-
having
he's
some
trying.
audio problems. We'll give it about a couple more seconds over here, and then we'll put on Darlin and give it a bit.
Yeah.
That avatar is funny though, the Conrail with the 1911.
Oh, that says Darwin, not Darian. I don't know why I misread that.
All
I
right.
mean, fun fact, the trains in Estonia, there are fewer XTSXOX or Conrail, so
Everybody else is getting all our old power from the 60s and 70s and still working.
yeah.
It's like an old like 80s Corolla that just keeps going and going and going. It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
All right.
Only you take.
Well, we'll put Corman back into the audience. Let's bring on Darlin in on board, and then we'll bring on
Okay.
another round of callers at the top of the hour, and call it a night. All right, Darlin, you are on. Welcome aboard.
Hello,
Thank
we can hear you.
Villa. I'm so glad to be here.
Glad you're too. You're on too. Welcome aboard, man.
So, about Brightline.
Sure.
What's going on with Virgin?
Oh, well, we've already that was discussed a while ago. Virgin, right now we haven't come up with any more information or anything hasn't come up. But the only thing that we know now is that they've gone their separate ways, and maybe Virgin is planning to go ahead and sue Brightline for breaking the contract. But so far from that, nothing else has come up. At least from what I know, unless anybody else in the comments or Highcast or Ruben knows.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, all I know is that Virgin agreed to give money, and then during the pandemic, they didn't give Brightline money, so Brightline terminated the contract, and Virgin didn't like that, so they sued.
Yeah, and
That's
that was even before the pandemic, because this was 2018. That Virgin was going to go ahead and give about, they were going to have like a minority stake in it, but in return for a minority stake of Brightline, they would go ahead and rebrand the company as Virgin Trains USA. Which a lot to our ire wasn't something that we were kind of proud of, but we were running with it because we did want Brightline, and we still do want Brightline to be as successful as possible because hey, it's the only
It was
yeah.
the name was a worthy sacrifice.
Yeah, for having the Virgin brand and for having, sort of Richard Branson's cult of personality to follow through, but apparently that's all it led to was just a cult of personality. Apart from his confusing investing into the Hyperloop, which that's what he has now. That's Virgin Hyperloop 1 that he has. Yeah.
We should call it Hyper Dupe instead
Yeah.
of Hyper Loop.
There's a lot of
Where
nicknames.
the Hyperloop gets more investment than an actual train.
It's vaporware.
Yeah. It's vaporware. You know, I'm a software engineer, and I know the term vaporware. Software that doesn't exist.
Yeah, but it's right now it's in trains or for transportation because it's not even a train or anything like that. I mean, it technically runs on a track, but I mean it's combining two forms of propulsion. One form of propulsion, and then you have the evacuated tube technology that it has inside of it, which to bring down the pressure inside the tube. So you're spending a heck of a lot of money. All they've done is move two passengers, whoop-de-doo. I said they were probably going to do that, even though I'm saying for years that they still haven't moved a passenger at least once. And I have said, before, like, they'll probably move, like, two passengers or so. And they'll have, like, maybe an open day for journalists. Which, well, the journalists won't say how long it takes for them to depressurize and repressurize the tube over and over again, but they think this BS is going to actually change. No, it's not. It's just a whole lot of money laundering and just a waste of time. Look, this has happened before in all industries. I mean, probably one of the biggest ones very recently was in the medical industry with Theranos. Elizabeth Holmes ran away with billions of dollars, and all the top journalists were saying she was the most successful woman ever. Or capital investor or anything like that, without making anything.
Worth was $9 billion.
Yeah, she was almost worth worth almost $10 billion. Okay,
Hey, she was worth more than Donald Trump at one point.
yeah, with no product, without a product. At least Trump had Trump water and some hotels and Trump steak. This woman had nothing. It was no project at all whatsoever. There was so much drama within the company. There was, and for some reason, even Biden was, went to the. They had so many top names connected to it. Everybody from even
Clinton.
Clinton's. What was the former defense secretary's name? Rumsfeld, I think, was part of it. Kissinger was also a big investor into it. So you had a lot of big freaking names into this. So it was a mess. So and what the Hyperloop is doing is something very similar, not to that extent, but it could very well go to that. And again, a lot of that was pushed because of Elon Musk. If it was not for Elon Musk, if this was some other nobody that came up with the plan, and trust me, there's been a lot of evacuated tube technologies that have been,
There was a lot of
ET3 and all that. Yeah,
I know there's sometimes there's the occasional documentary made by like these like TV channels where it's like technology of the future, solar panel car that runs on a rail and goes super fast because that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look at science documentaries of how they thought the future was going to be, from 20 years ago, and look, we can't even tell technology or the weather of tomorrow. I mean, how are we going to be able to tell? We have technology here that works. All right. If anything, the next step is going to be maglev. All right, and there's a lot to do with maglev that it still hasn't reached its full potential yet. It hasn't even reached its final form, but we have that available. Okay, Japan has a maglev that easily runs 375 miles an hour and can obviously go a heck of a lot faster than that. China is testing out maglev technology, which they basically borrowed the tech from the Germans, the Transrapid that they have between Shanghai and Pudong. So they've basically reverse engineered a lot of that and have added on to it to probably make.
Is the Chinese maglev that China's developing itself a SC maglev, or is it like a linear induction motor?
Linear induction.
Like
they basically took the Transrapid and they reverse engineered it. It looks exactly like it.
I thought they were trying to develop their own SC maglev.
Let me see. I may be wrong on that because now that I think of it, I think it was like a dark blue, like something that looked like the SC maglev. I'm not quite sure. No, it does. It definitely looks linear.
Does it wrap around the track?
Yeah, it's wrapped around the track. Let me see if I can. Where is it? It's giving me a picture. Let me see. Construction wheels. I'm getting two different pictures because let me see. I get one that looks like this, which definitely looks like the SC maglev.
Me who can't see the stream.
That's all right. Yeah, there's one that wraps around the track, so you can tell if it wraps around the track like this. It's very much like the SC maglev, which is a linear induction motor. So there's magnets along the side over here which activate, and they basically push it along and keep the train level and act as, you know how like an electric motor acts. So they just basically roll that out. I'm just explaining for the audience. And it activates, south-north poles, alternating, and shoo, just moves it along forward of, over 250 miles an hour. So, yeah, this is one that I'm getting. And then there's another one that says China University unveils maglev technology, which looks like the SC maglev. So this one looks exactly like the SC maglev in Japan. So I think they're developing both. Let me see if I can. There we are. Technology to create the world's fastest train. Let me mute the music because
This is a prototype maglev locomotive.
It's a prototype.
Designed and built domestically here in
A
China.
little unrelated, but Cornman has been raising his hand for a while. Should I let him in, or does Darren have more to say?
Yeah, if you have any more to say.
I don't have nothing to say here, but well, it's been a nice conversation.
Yeah. No, I thank you for bringing up the subject because it's definitely something we need to talk more about because the problem with the Hyperloop is that it is a major distraction to technology that actually works. And this is the thing, countries like China, they don't care about any of this. Yeah, they'll go ahead and have like a company that goes ahead and puts millions of dollars into the Hyperloop, but they're not serious about it. They're serious about things that work. Because they're just going to keep moving forward and building stuff. Okay, we've been asleep at the wheel for more than 15 years, and China has built more than double the world's high-speed rail lines in its own country. So that's what we're going up against.
All right.
All right, man.
So,
well, thank you for coming
it's good
on.
to have you in the audience, darling.
Okay, hasta la vista.
Hasta luego, man. Take care. All right. So Cornman
so
is on.
let's let him in. Let's hope his mic works.
Yep. All right.
Anticipation.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got to accept the invite.
All right. All right, Cornman, you are on. Welcome aboard. See if this works. Oh, we got something.
I heard something.
You heard something?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Hello.
If you can speak closer to the mic or put the volume up, it'll be loud and clear.
Yeah, my laptop.
It's all right, man. I know the feeling. All right, we can hear you loud and clear. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Awesome.
Did getting sleep last night.
It's just one of those nights, right?
Yep.
All right. So, what's up?
Not much. Just making stuff with that transit proposals and all that stuff.
Like we said, try to stay close to the mic if you can.
Is this better?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot better.
Okay. I can't really see my screen.
You don't need to.
Fair enough.
All right. So
You were saying?
So I've been making like Brightline. I'm making like potential like Brightline corridors from Ohio, North Carolina, Texas.
okay.
What's your most interesting corridor you came up with?
Probably my favorite is in North Carolina from Charlotte to Raleigh. Between the corner between Greensboro and Durham.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be something that Brightline has been actively talking about since around, close to 6 years ago. They were even talking about Charlotte to Atlanta, Chicago to St. Louis, and other corridors like that has definitely been something they've been repeating.
Given the fact that quite a bit of the roads are controlled by Class 1s, I don't know how they're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't really know about that either, especially with CSX. They hate everyone basically.
They could very well build their own high-speed rail corridor in that region. I mean, yeah, it's in the Appalachian region, but it's not so much in the mountain area that it could be done. So I think it's something that if they could do full high-speed rail in that would make sense. Of course, after Brightline West, and if they run that for a year or two, and even like in the construction of that, they could very well announce that we have Brightline, Atlanta or something like that, or Brightline South. That could definitely be something they could come up with.
Yeah. There's also I've also made a corridor for Ohio from Columbus to Toledo. I didn't do Columbus to Cleveland. I didn't do Columbus to Cleveland because there's already an Amtrak proposal, even though it's kind of tough because there's a corridor that connects Akron and Dayton.
Yeah, the thing is, when Amtrak does proposals, you got to understand that when Amtrak does that, they're saying, these could be places that could be connected. They're not saying we're going to plan this and we're going to make this, because Amtrak has proposed a lot of routes and equipment changes for many years. But most of the time, they either haven't followed up on it, or they just haven't had the funding or the push to really go ahead and follow through. I mean, even in their last release of Amtrak's map,
The Connect Us map?
Yeah, the Connect Us map. They went ahead and put a route between Las Vegas and Los Angeles, and that's the route that Brightline West is going to be doing. So, and they've done the same thing with Texas Central and whatnot. However, what they have been proposing is going ahead and running either ticketing service or operating the ticketing service for Texas, where they get like a little bit of a cut for each ticket. Maybe they could operate, some of the client, the crew on board. I don't know. It really depends on how many hands in the pot that Texas wants. And since it's being mostly a lot of the investment is coming from Japan, and a lot of the know-how is coming from there, they're very careful about how many people they let in and who they put in. So Amtrak,
personally,
getting ticketing is probably where they're going to stop at. Go ahead.
Personally, I think Amtrak's best role when it comes to complementing high-speed rail service is going to all the places that high-speed rail does not serve. Yeah. Like with the line from Dallas to Houston, like they've got in the Connect Us map, they have stops planned in Corsicana, College Station, and I think they have it in like. I don't know if they have one in Herney or if they've got one in Navasota or Mexia. But I do know they have stops in Corsicana and College Station planned. And those are places that Texas Central does not connect to. And I do think that in cases also like with Las Vegas, there isn't nearly as much between Las Vegas and Barstow. But there are like these little tiny isolated communities, which Amtrak does pretty well serving. Like they don't need to do much to serve Essex, Montana. But like you've got Kelso and Nipton and maybe that could all use a Amtrak connection. They're tiny. There's only like a few people living there, but still.
Yeah. I do have to agree with Highcast on that. What Amtrak already has, and what they're doing in serving connections in places that don't have high-speed rail connections or already have connections through Amtrak, is what they should probably stick to. Amtrak, in my opinion, and this is an opinion that a lot of people don't like, I really don't think they should be building any more routes apart from maybe the ones that they lost before, like down in Louisiana, like the Sunset. But other areas that they need to do is like they really need to focus on the Northeast. Focus on what they have over in California and parts of the Midwest that they already have. When they spread themselves out thin, this is where Amtrak is losing a lot of money on. Even the Japanese, JNR was losing a lot of money because they had mostly unprofitable routes that they had. And the other thing that was holding back JNR was that the prices were controlled by the central government, by the Diet. So their version of their Congress. So they weren't letting prices get up. So JNR was losing money with unprofitable routes on top of that. Amtrak doesn't have that sort of issue where the government is making their prices. They have full control over what prices they have. But the thing is that what they do have is that they're forced to run these services in areas in states that really don't have the capacity nor the amount of density in order to make these routes supportive in places like Montana or out in the West. And really, what Amtrak is trying to do is trying to find ways that they can be relevant in this new ongoing space of now privatization with railroads. So maybe in these services or whatnot. However, they're really trying to see if they can latch onto what Brightline is doing. This is something that they were really pushing forward in the last meeting with Congress with the House Transportation Committee. And I've been saying this, and I've talked to a lot of people in Brightline. They do not want Amtrak anywhere near them. And this is from I'm not gonna say who from Brightline, but they said that Amtrak and what Amtrak means to a lot of other Americans, not just not rail fans. I'm talking about just regular Americans. Amtrak is not a picture of glamour. Let's put it that way. So that's why they want to do their own thing and go from there. So that's really why they don't want to touch it. Again, maybe they have changed their policy, but from a lot of people that I've talked to in Brightline, that's what they want to do their own thing, and that's up to them, right? That's it's they're a private company. They have their own infrastructure. They have their own equipment. They can do what they want with it as long as it's within legal means.
Right. Well, where I live by Columbus, and I'm pretty sure it's I think it's the second largest metro area without rail transit at all.
Yeah. Columbus is pretty.
Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah. Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, it's pretty separated from everybody else in terms of not having Amtrak going there. And Toledo's another one that it's got a.
No, Toledo has Amtrak service.
Yeah,
they have the Lakeshore Limited and Capital Limited.
Yeah, they just don't have it in the frequency that they used to before. I mean, a lot of places in the Midwest have fallen down on frequency, and there used to be so much passenger rail transportation over here. And I can say this.
Well, the days of New York Central are long gone.
Yeah, but I could say that as somebody living in the Midwest, in Indianapolis, where we've lost a lot of the daily, the Hoosier. So I mean, it's something that is starting to come back at least, or hopefully will come back as more density is growing here in the Midwest. I mean, not as much as South Florida. I think South Florida has a little bit too much density right now, but maybe that will level out, or maybe there will be more solutions with rail that will at least alleviate that. But we have a lot here in the Midwest that can definitely be done.
Right. Well, I feel like Columbus should be the next city to bring back Amtrak or any sort of rail system, because I don't want to resort to either flying or just driving flying really short distance or just driving a really long route or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you probably are familiar with the High Speed Rail Alliance based in Chicago, but they've definitely they have a map out of what could be a Midwest route over here. So that's definitely something. If you want to get involved more with that, definitely go ahead and check them out at hsrail.org.
Alrighty.
Yeah, check them out. Here, I'll put it up over here, and you can go ahead and check a link below. We'll put it in the comments on the YouTube stream. But yeah, check them out because they definitely have a lot of stuff, particularly in the Midwest. Because it used to be called the Midwest High Speed Rail Association. They just recently about a year ago.
Rebranded.
Yeah, they rebranded as High Speed Rail Association. Which, funny enough, like, a year before that, we rebranded from the High Speed Rail America Club to American Rail Club, which I think is a much better change from HSRAC. It's a lot better just to say
So
ARC.
rock.
Yeah, or we were making jokes in college like his rack. He's got a rack on. We were all working out and stuff like that. But yeah, it's better ARC and ARC Stream. ARC. It works. It works better. All right. Anyway, you got anything else to add on? Or?
Well, there's another. I feel like there's another corridor for Texas from Fort Worth to San Antonio, connecting Austin, Waco, and I can't think of the name. Yeah, I can't think of the name of the town.
Are you talking about the Texas Triangle? Like, is it a town or a city?
City.
Temple, Waco.
Yeah, Temple.
Okay.
All right. Oh yeah, Temple is. I know. When SNCF came up with that Texas T-bone, Temple was where everything split off. I remember now.
Yeah. Like places like Texas, they have a lot of potential there. But I do think Texas Central Rail, because they have talked about it a bit about making a sort of a Texas Triangle like the original plan before, back in the late 80s and early 90s, the Texas Triangle plan with TGV.
The Texas Super Train, I think.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, the one that was killed off because Southwest Airlines lobbying it to death. That could be another potential route that they could follow. Again, they need to focus on what they're doing first, and once that's running up and well, and then they can go ahead and think of a Texas Triangle system, to connect Dallas, Houston, and then maybe San Antonio, and to Austin and other places. Austin's another city that's also growing pretty rapidly. Most of Texas is growing pretty rapidly. They're having people from California moving there, or people from other places, parts of the United States moving there. It's similar to Florida. There's a lot of people moving to Texas, so they're having.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Texas doesn't have any state income tax.
No, it does not. Same thing with Florida.
That makes it pretty attractive for people wanting to move in.
Yeah, because California has a massive state income tax, so that's why a lot of Californians are moving over there. Which, of course, a lot of Texans are upset of that, and very, very well that Californians come in and then bring in policies. It's the same thing like in Florida, where but Florida, they're going to have a worse of a time because they'll have to deal with our fabled Florida men. So they have a time with that. Yeah, or they'll get eaten by a gator. Or crocodile, depending on how south they go. Because Florida's the only place. Yeah, Florida's the only place that has gators and crocodiles living in proximity to each other.
Really? I thought it was just alligators.
No, we have there are crocs there. So American crocs. They're mostly from Cuba, but since Cuba and Florida are very close by, there were some crocs that have stuck there. They're mostly in the Southern Everglades and in the Keys. But I've seen a croc once. They're different because of their snouts. Gators I've seen all the time. And the thing is with gators, like, as long as you don't mess with them, they don't mess with you. The minute you start poking at them or making loud noises with them, most of the time they'll either just run away. But if there's one that's acclimated to human beings, that one's a problem because they'll eat dogs, they'll eat pets, and they'll certainly bite and try to eat humans. And then there's the pythons that have invaded Florida. So yeah, it's basically Australia but America.
Honestly, if I saw a gator, I probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference because I'd probably be dead by then.
No, they don't attack people. They mostly just sit there and sunbathe most of the time, or just wade in the water. I mean, you can easily see them because they're just floating there. You just see their eyes and their snout just floating there in the water.
Gators are kind of like bears. Just stay away from their den and stay away from their young.
Yeah. No, they're better than bears. The ones that are the bears that you need to really be careful of are grizzlies. And if you live in Alaska, polar bears, those will murder you. Out of fun. Grizzlies.
Yeah, here in Minnesota, we got the black bears, and basically you just make a bunch of loud noises, and they stay away.
Yeah,
so.
same here in Indiana. Yeah, I've only seen one, and it's from very far away. But like the minute it heard us hiking, it just walked off. And they're smaller than grizzlies. They're like 5-6 foot. Grizzlies are like 7 foot, and polar bears are like 9. Anyway, we've gone off topic, but this is it's quite fun.
We got Aegis who wants to join in, so
yeah. Let's take a break from the calls, and then we'll bring Aegis last. We're gonna go through like 3 more articles as kind of our off the rails segment, because I want to talk a little bit about electric cars for just a bit in our transportation section. So we'll do that. But thank you for coming on board, Corn Man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been an honor joining you guys.
Of course. Take care, man. All right. So let's go ahead, and we're going to go over the last 3 articles that we have over here. Of course, I have like a whole bunch of articles, but I want to talk about electric cars, because this is something that a lot of politicians and towns and municipalities and cities think is going to change everything. That as long as they have electric cars that are automated, they can run everywhere. And trust me, it's a lot more prevalent than you think, because even right here in Indianapolis, we've now just started a trial process where they have these automated Lexuses moving around the IUPUI, which is Indiana University and Purdue University in Indianapolis and some other places. And this is happening in other cities across the United States. But this is the thing with electric cars, and specifically cars that self-drive. Because electric cars, it's just changing the fuel and function or whatnot. But automated vehicles is what's changing things. It's not just Tesla. Experts say the entire industry is struggling to safely introduce automated features to the masses. Now, if you look at this picture right here with this guy sitting in the Cadillac. Oh no, this is a Ford. Ford, Cadillac, they all have their own different versions of now automated driving. And I've driven in a Tesla, from Indianapolis to Chicago, and I've driven in one in Orlando too, just because I could rent it. Right now, don't rent anything because it's just ridiculously expensive now to rent stuff. But I do gotta say they're fun, but they have a place. They do not replace trains. They do not replace public transportation. They have a place, but they don't replace. Okay, so if you ever get yourself caught in a Department of Transportation meeting or your local city meeting talking about these new, fangled automated cars, that's something you can say. They have a place, but they don't replace. Okay, so the problem is with autopilot and other areas. It's not quite all there. Now, I do got to say the autopilot drives a hell of a lot better than I would say 90% of drivers in the United States right now. Okay, I didn't have much of an issue with the Tesla autopilot. It even drove itself through some thick late March, early April fog in the Midwest. So it was able to get through, and I didn't have any issues with it. Except for parking. I mean, I could just park that thing a heck of a lot faster than it could, but, that's just me. But in terms of other, there are some crashes that have happened. Now, let's be fair. These crashes become high-profile articles because, it's a Tesla that crashed and burned on fire, or it's a self-driving car that, crashed and burnt on fire. It doesn't happen quite as often as most people think. But the thing is, it becomes high profile because it's a Tesla or it's a self-driving car. So that's one problem of it. Let's see. The messy transition to automated driving is upon us, and the entire auto industry has to work to make roads safer. Advanced driver assistance systems aim to make driving safer and more comfortable with features like lane centering, blind spot monitoring, and adaptive cruise control. And I think a heck of a lot of these assistance systems are quite annoying, especially for people who know how to drive and people who have driven, I've driven stick shifts, I've driven manual cars, I've raced. Legally, I've raced, okay, so I was a Sports Car Club of America member and used to do autocross a lot. But the thing is that a lot of people are getting into vehicles. The auto industry wants to sell as many vehicles as it can, and they don't care if you know how to drive or not. Even if you don't have a license, some of these used car dealerships will go ahead and sell you a car anyway, which is illegal, but they'll go ahead and do it anyway. And then you have, the issues with problems like, all these adaptive cruise control systems. That cruise control systems are fine. The thing is when it gets to lane centering, blind spot monitoring. I said this earlier in an older video, which I do have to bring up again about auto pilot systems, which will come up in a newer video since the technology has changed quite rapidly. It's still not there yet to be something that's in mass adoption. Plenty of other automakers give drivers an imperfect impression what their cars can do. GM and Ford market their system as hands-free driving on approved stretches of highway. So like what Cadillac has, they have a car, and Ford has the same thing, where basically, unlike the Tesla system, you have to be looking, forward, and the system sees if your eyes are forward, and you don't have to have your hands on the wheel. That can only work on certain highways, so you can't use that anywhere else. You can't use that on off the interstates or some approved sections of interstate or where construction is happening. So again, it needs to catch up there. Representatives from Ford and GM pushed back, telling Insider that their vehicle's internal cameras monitor driver awareness while various alerts ensure that they stay engaged. So this is the problem about this. Okay, these systems are quite expensive. Okay, currently right now. And look at this issue. Look at this dude in his business suit in his $80,000 Cadillac. He's just sitting there, right? He could be sitting in a train, or this could be again, it's one person in a car, and this is the issue. More than 80%, or I think actually higher than that. There's the majority of car rides in America only have one driver. Now, it's fine and all if you have to go to a specific place. The thing is that we're not trying to take away, from vehicles. We're not saying, he shouldn't be doing that. The problem is that the automobile companies would much rather that no trains came here into the United States and that they could slam everybody into their little cages that self-drive them to work and self-drive them home and self-drive them here and self-drive them there. Because it's more money for them, and self-drive them to back to the dealership so they can go ahead and do an oil change, because nobody can do an oil change by themselves now anymore. Yeah, I'm kind of being I'm kind of being salty about that, but that's just me as someone who's very much a car dude. I mean, that's what I originally went to college for, was to design cars, and now I'm pushing for rails because that's what we need. And here's the other thing: it's quite expensive. All right, and having cars on the road that self-drive does not solve the traffic issue. In fact, there's been many studies that go ahead and say that actually self-driving cars make the issue far worse than what we have right now. So it's not fixing traffic. So what does self-driving fix? Okay, all that self-driving fixes is the times that you're on the highway or you're driving to one place, and again, to one specific place that's outside of a rail network. Okay, apart from that, rail solves most of everything. Now, there is a place for, like I said, there is a place for self-driving cars. Okay, in places that are either more self-contained, like very small areas, that can have cars going back and forth, like little taxis that don't really need rail because it's such a high concentrated area. And for that, maybe you could walk. But for people who don't want to, or for people who, would rather, be in their car, that's okay, because there's some times that you do need a car, to go grocery shopping or to take other people or whatnot. But there are times where you don't need a self-driving car. So that's where we need to get into that. And again, I've talked about the expense of this, because electric cars are still quite expensive. And there's no way that the American automobile industry wants to bring in, cheap foreign cars into the United States, or cars from Europe or anywhere else that could do well over here. Now, America has an obsession with crossovers and with SUVs. But, China has EVs. Now, maybe you won't trust a Chinese EV car if you've seen a lot of Chinese WebMs or live leak videos of Chinese disasters or accidents. It's kind of crazy over there, the way they drive. But they have EV cars that even outsell Tesla over there. And it's only $4,500. in U.S. dollars. Okay, I don't know how that is in renminbis or whatever the Chinese yuan, but it's quite cheap. So that's something that a normal person over here in the United States could very well afford, and that's really what the true prices of cars should be, because car prices are very inflated here in the United States. Not as inflated as housing prices are now, but they're still inflated. A Corolla should be costing at minimum around $8,000, but without inflation, if we're trying to be fair. But this is something that could be brought into the United States, but it's never going to be brought in because the automobile companies had to go ahead and complain. Ronald Reagan stopped the Japanese cars from coming in. They're taking our business. Wah, wah. So that's how that's how American car companies deal with stuff. They go ahead and lobby to keep foreign car companies that and back then in the 70s and 80s, Japanese cars were they drove better. They required less maintenance, and they lasted longer. While American car companies were still, high on their laurels from major success in the 50s and 60s, which they deserved all the success that they got. But after the oil crisis, they were not able to really come out with cars that lasted long. They still kept coming out with cars that shared a heavy chassis with older versions of cars that had higher horsepower and displacement, with cars that maybe had 4 cylinders and had to carry a 5,000-pound car. And at that time, 4 cylinders did not do very well carrying, 5 to 6, tons of steel. I'm being facetious and sarcastic, but that's what it is. So, and this is the other problem is that EVs require not as much maintenance as a gas car. For several reasons, is because EVs have a lot less moving parts. Now, the internal combustion engine, you have to understand, has been proven and it's been in use for more than 100 years. Okay, we're going on like 140 years of the internal combustion engine since Daimler, and Benz made the first, popularized, or the first car in a sense that we kind of jump on now. Electric cars were actually a thing back 100 years ago, or more than 120 years ago. They were being used at the turn of the century, but the gas cars won out for a number of reasons. For a lot of the same reasons that electric cars, they don't have the range, they have to be charged, and back then the electric infrastructure in the country was, if you think the electric infrastructure, the electric charging infrastructure is still in its infancy, imagine at, basically near zero back at the turn of the 20th century. So what now a lot of these companies are going to do, they're saying, no more gas cars by this such and such date, and all its vehicles will be electrified by such and such date. GM is doing this, Ford is doing this, and a lot of auto dealerships are trying to see what they can do in order to bring in business. Because a lot of auto dealerships, how they make money is from the loans, the ridiculous amount of loans they make out for people to buy new cars. They say, you can get a car for 0 APR, but that's if you have a perfect credit score. And there's not that many people out there with, an 800 credit score, especially now in the time of COVID. But they'll say this, and, and they'll give you cars, and, people will literally go ahead and get new cars for 30% APR, no joke, which is disgustingly insane that that's even legal. But this is the problem that we're going to be clashing in. And this is the reason why I bring it up. Because the automobile industry is not going to let go of whatever power it has here in the United States. It's still a major market here in the United States. Granted, there's the Chinese market is far larger now than the United States market, and they're selling more cars over there in China. The problem is China already has high-speed rail. They already have transportation, other transportation modes, and the Chinese government is not going to stop making that. So they have that. Our U.S. government doesn't have that same sort of central planning, for better or for worse. But again, there's a lot of lobbying that can go on in the United States that could really mess up high-speed rail and other rail passenger transportation options. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. And with that, I don't know if anybody else have anything to say on that. Ruben, Highcast?
No, I don't really have that much to add, but I do have to add that I soon I've got to leave because I have a very busy schedule tomorrow. So I think I'm gonna have to take the next stop and have it taken over by High Cost. Are you up for the job, High Cost?
I guess. I don't really have much to add regarding electric vehicles because it's not really what I know the most about. Yeah, pretty much. I guess I don't really have a problem with Teslas by themselves. Just I'm more worried about the company behind it and whether Elon Musk's anti-transit statements like subway Stalinists are meant to be a way to demonize public transit and to. I actually wondered if he was going to be the next National City Lines.
Yeah, that's with more of these boring company projects that are starting to pop up, or the one that I think that just recently opened in Las Vegas. They're pushing in places like Miami, and you have Mayor Francis Suarez down there who's trying to embrace it because he wants to be the cool hip millennial Gen X mayor there that embraces all this technology, and Miami's going to be the capital of Bitcoin, which good luck to the electricity prices when they start mining Bitcoins in Florida. You think it's hot now. Wait till then, and then good luck building any PC in Miami when all the graphic cards are gone.
I'm trying to remember, what's the power consumption of Bitcoin mining? Is it like equivalent to it's either equivalent to the power usage of Serbia or Argentina? Like, it's an insane amount.
It's a big amount, and it's not like, we're not saying, the person, it was a lot different from what Bitcoin mining was, 10 years ago, where people had, maybe like, one PC dedicated to it, and they were making like, 5 5 Bitcoins an hour, which those people who did that are now millionaires and billionaires. So I mean they got lucky with that, or maybe they were smart and they knew where things were going. I do think the world is going to crypto at some point. It just not yet. Probably in the next 10 or 20 years, you're probably going to start paying stuff with like a certain form of crypto on a crypto app or something like that. I
do not think Bitcoin is going to be the big global cryptocurrency. I think it'll be a more advanced version in the future. Just like there's a reason why we don't use gold and silver like the Romans did to conduct business.
Yeah, they're stores of value.
Gold and silver of the future of currency.
Yeah, something like Bitcoin, Ethereum is like always touted as the silver of cryptocurrency, and then there's other things like Litecoin or Monero.
Dogecoin.
Yeah, Dogecoin is more of a meme that really caught up because of Musk. That was just insane. But again, the market's going down right now. It will go up in a few years. Very much similar to what happened at 2018. So for everybody saying that it's gonna moon, we're gonna get to the moon, you're being ridiculous. Pull out, save whatever money you got right now, and just keep buying the dips. All right, I'm not a financial advisor, but just zoom out the graph and you'll see.
Just don't get your investment advice from Wall Street Bets. That's the best advice I can give you.
Everybody on there is like, buy this, shit coin, or buy this or whatever. There was literally a coin that was called dog shit coin. During this whole dog coin push. This is how ridiculous this market gets sometimes. But it just goes to show you where the world is going, guys. Everything is up in the air right now. We're living in a cyberpunk world, just without all the flying cars.
The Bitcoin, I know, is kind of like the Wild West, because I know that quite a bit of cryptocurrencies are being made as pump and dump schemes, which is scary. And it also goes to show that while the world of stocks and securities is heavily regulated, and it's much harder to get away with a pump and dump scheme there, we are not there with cryptocurrency yet. And that's why when you look up at a list of cryptocurrency, you find all these weird crypto names that you've never heard of, and it turns out they're just pump and dumps.
Yeah. No, but we'll get there. All those will be weeded out, and there will be a time where a lot of them have become, like people will start paying with like, Litecoin accepted here, or Ethereum accepted here, or Ripple, or other stuff like that. So it depends. We're in that phase where it's gonna take a while, but
Yeah. I mean, okay, this is gonna be my stop because else I'm gonna keep pushing myself. But this is gonna be my stop, guys. So everyone in chat, type F as I'm leaving. But this is my advice now for crypto: pull out, watch a show, and get some popcorn as you see everything burn. Because afterwards you're gonna have some cheap coins to get rich with. So first, pull out and watch everything burn.
it's going on sale. Can't wait.
Fire sale.
I'm gonna go and look at a bunch of. Can't wait for the next Control the Narrative who tries to YOLO, like he's gonna find some money laundering technique to use borrowed money to invest in Bitcoin, and then he invests all of it, and then the price of Bitcoin tanks, and then he loses like 25 times his account or something ridiculous.
Yeah. And you gotta be careful, because even the rail industry has like caught on to. Because the words of the day are now blockchain. They were like 2 years ago. Like everybody started using blockchain and didn't even know what the heck it does. It was just like blockchain,
Well,
vertical integration.
The .com bubble,
Yeah.
where unrelated companies started putting .com at the end, and they saw like a 30% increase in shares. Like there are a couple other examples, like a smoothie company putting blockchain at the end of their name, and 60% increase in shares or something insane like that.
At the last, when Bitcoin almost went up to 20,000, 3 years ago, even Kodak was coming out with like a Kodak coin because they were, on their death throes. So they're like, oh, we can stay alive with this. So it'll happen. But anyway, Ruben, I know you got to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good night, man.
Guys,
07s and Fs in the comments for Ruben.
Yeah.
F.
As spits on grave and stuff like that. I don't know.
No, I ain't spitting on your grave. You ain't dead yet, man.
Yet. Keyword yet.
Yeah. Well, we all die
Okay,
at some point, but we'll die with honor, right?
Yeah, I preferably to live a little bit longer. Anyway, guys, I would say this is my signing off. This was my last live stream from Estonia. Next time we'll be from Belgium. High costs. You've got a role to keep up to. You gotta walk into my footsteps. And Demetrius and
scared.
everyone in live stream and chat, goodbye.
Cheers. Take care, Ruben. All right. So, it's just you and me now, and we're going to have to go ahead and start closing this out. But before that, we're going to check out Aegis over here in the audience. And if anybody else wants to join us for the last round of call-ins or comments, now's the time to do it. So we're closing things down. So Aegis is going to be... did you move him to the...
Yeah,
okay.
I sent him the invite,
Got it.
so he's just got to accept it.
That's what. Yeah, you're more on the gun better than this than I am, because I went to go right click and invite, but you got him already.
Well, I've been running the server for 3 years, and you gain quite when you get the ins and outs of Discord. When
Yeah. I mean, I
Discord for that
used to
long.
use it a lot more when I was back in college and I was gaming with friends playing Overwatch and Battlefield and stuff like that. But it's just been a while. I don't game on my PC as much anymore. But I don't know. Maybe Battlefield 2042 will change that. So let's see. Aegis, we've invited you on, so come on ahead. If not for the meanwhile, let's see who's on the comments over here. If you're bold, do what Wall Street Bets does, except the holding. Yeah, by the time Wall Street Bets says something, it's already been pumped, and you're buying the bags. So be careful what you do. Brian Rock Rail fan.
All right, Aegis joined.
All right, Aegis, you're on. How's it going, man?
You know how it's going. It's always outstanding.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
So, and what's really made my day is that I've just been, so for most of the summer I've been touring colleges. I got my first college accepted in today from Longwood.
Awesome. Congratulations, man.
Congrats.
Yes, you're too kind.
No, seriously, it's a big deal. Like I remember the first time I got accepted. So I mean, it is a big deal. So enjoy
I'm
that.
not the exaggerator, but today's one of the best days of my life.
Yeah. Is that your first? Is that your first pick?
No, it's not my first pick.
Okay.
But still.
No, that's it. Yeah, it's still a big deal.
It is a big deal. So, I've abandoned my Stop the Sprawl campaign. I've
Like
I
completely.
was gonna completely. Yeah.
Oh,
It's failed to work out that, but I've
Urban
developed like a
sprawl
more
intensive
effective
buys.
strategy. So over the summer, I'm working on I am working on the little document about the death of low cost short haul airlines and how the industry can save itself from collapse.
so wait, so
Oh.
so you're doing an article or?
I'm doing an article.
Okay, that's actually that would make
Oh.
sense. I think I said this early in the stream, but we have a medium that we're trying to bring back up again. So I don't know if you're familiar with Medium, but you can go ahead and publish your own articles on there. But I'm going to announce it later this week that we're going to open it up for anybody who wants to publish their articles in conjunction with ARC. That you can go ahead and put it on there, and we'll publish it out and share it with everybody else. So I mean, it'll be still your article, but
Yeah.
it'll be like under ARC. So
I know. So
yeah.
what I'm discussing is that I'm basically saying that in the next 20 years that nearly a large amount of low cost airlines in the Americas as a whole are going to go extinct.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
I'm not
And-
surprised at that.
You can speak.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, because I've been on so many of these cheaper flights, as you can say, and all these the low cost and budget airlines. They run at such a thin margin, and the thing is that once high-speed rail and once better rail transportation becomes more of a thing here in the United States, they're going to lose a lot of the power. Because people are going to start to figure out that it's just a better alternative to go by rail. It's a lot safer. It's a lot not technically a lot safer. It's just a lot more convenient. You have a lot more space. It's just easier.
Yeah.
I mean, you get treated like crap on half these airlines. It's
so
awful.
what I'm saying is that I'm writing is that later chapters I'm writing is basically I'm predicting to say how you're going to so I'm predicting the death's going to be like a phased out death. The United States is going to be the first place to have a death of like airlines. Like I think what's going to happen with most airlines, like the ones like Spirit or Allegiant, they're going to end up like Ryanair, where it's going to become a low budget version of TUI.
That could be.
So TUI Airlines is basically like a vacationing airline, so you don't pay that much for the flight. It's basically part of a vacation package.
Yeah, and it goes to places in the Caribbean or stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, but I'm saying that the future for low cost airlines is going to be in like untapped hubs, like in the Midwest, like Columbus, all these other cities. But there's also going to be airlines that like Breeze, for example. They're focusing heavily on Norfolk. That was one of the first cities we're flying to, and they're going to make that like the primary hub for their Mid-Atlantic operations.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And my dad used to work for the airline industry, so it was something like I've always told all my friends. The first thing that I wanted to do when I was a kid, when everybody says I want to be an astronaut or this or that, was I wanted to be a fighter pilot, mainly because of Top Gun. That movie is my favorite movie when I was a kid. I love Top Gun, man.
Yeah, we had a movie night where we watched Top Gun.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
He defended the Tomcat. He made the Tomcat community look like a joke.
Oh yeah, no, I still my dream is to own like a decommissioned F-14, and then just put missiles back on it. I love it.
It was a Hangar Queen and the F-14. I'll tell you this. F-18. I'm a Super Hornet fan, all the way.
Oh yeah, the F-18 and the F-15 are just better. But
F-18 Super Hornet. She's better. She's better for sure.
Yeah. The F-14 is just freaking cool. That's just the only thing.
F-14 it can't carry any bomb of 1,000 kilograms essentially.
Yeah.
Unlike its MiG brethren, but let's not just go back. Let's keep it.
You guys are talking about how cool
Ship,
fighter
but-
planes are, and here I am trying my hardest not to sing Danger Zone or Mighty Wings. Highway to the danger zone. I love Kenny Loggins.
I feel the need for speed. Oh man.
Oh, this day is going so well.
See, you guys, we have fun on these streams. You know, it's Saturday Night Live, but it's funnier and it's more fun, and you don't cringe. Okay, maybe you cringe a little, but it's not mega
little.
cringe. It's not mega
like the
cringe.
comments.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, you know. Look, I'm just gonna just real quick. Airlines have their place, right? Just like cars have their place, and trains have their place. All right. It's not that we want to take away all airlines in the United States, like some people want to do or have proposed to do.
Yeah,
It's
you know what I was gonna say this? I'm 100% down with the French decision to getting with low cost airlines. As long as their airlines, like, they put like a limit to say, like, like if ETOPS and stuff like that, as long as say like 150 miles of this one place.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if they should put like limit to say if you do want to fly out locations like for smaller cities that they're not gonna get TDV service within a certain amount of time, you should be happy. You should give them a go ahead.
Yeah. And here is like one of the articles that I have like as a buffer. Southwest Airlines is canceling a whole bunch of flights and delaying a whole bunch because it's becoming a busy, travel time here in the summer. But, a lot of these airlines were not really ready for this surge and rush.
And they're not going to be ready. And I feel like their opposition, like the big projects, are actually putting them in a much worse situation.
Yeah. And
they don't know because in Europe, they actually know how to compete because low-cost airlines do know how to compete. They don't target the corridors like between Mannheim to Karlsruhe.
Yeah.
They just only go from. Instead, you want to say if you have to take like a one-day night train across the Alps and just nothing but just take the night train across the Alps. I'll say Ryanair will say, okay, we can do that with a 1-hour flight on a crappy 737 Max for €19. And they'll naturally just take the 737.
Yeah, and Southwest is making this excuse because this happened before already, and a lot of other airlines have been canceling flights. They're saying it's thunderstorms, widespread thunderstorms. They always come up with excuses
Europe,
that.
I'll tell you this: in Europe, a lot of the airlines, especially if you were going to Eastern Europe, that's fine with them.
Yeah.
Their little 737s, like their little Tu-1, they still fly like old Tupolevs over there.
Yeah.
And it's simplicity at its best.
Yeah.
Like you can just land in, and like it's literally hailing. Like if old World War II aircraft would be having like holes.
Yeah.
In their wings, maybe fuselage.
Yeah.
Like that.
But here's the other thing about that. I think really the real reason why these airlines are canceling flights is also the increase in oil prices. It's not like those Tupolevs where you can just throw in some vodka and it's going to be off, to the races, comrade. Yeah, but
you can do it. It's even Russian old MiG-15s. Still,
that actually reminds me of that scene from Turbulence where Heavy pours in the vodka into like some funnel in the cab, and it just. It's a plane that runs on vodka.
Hey, there's alcohol-run, drag cars. I'm pretty sure it's not that hard to put in an engine like that in a plane.
Alcohol, and that's big in Brazil.
Yeah.
With alcohol and stuff like that.
So, I mean, yeah, vodka's like basically, it's basically rubbing alcohol at that point. It's some of them.
Also, speaking about oil, so I wasn't available for last week's stream because, unfortunately, that was the week that my dad was deploying to Kuwait.
Yeah, you told me. So I hope he's there, safe and sound. And how long is he going to be deployed there?
He's blowing up old IEDs. He's an expired medication on he's commanding the base in Ali Al Salim.
Oh, okay.
Out in the middle of near the Kuwait City.
Yeah. Okay.
unfortunately, they don't want to. The Kuwaitis really should be building like a passenger, at least like a good rail network between them, Kuwait City, and like Basra, which is the closest rail connection in Iraq.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's all close by there. Yeah. How long is your dad gonna be deployed there?
Here,
A year?
It's not gonna. It's gonna be technically it's gonna be a 1 year assignment for him.
Okay.
It's not like a real. It's not like a big deployment where like your dad's worried about something bad's gonna happen like that. He's pretty safe and sound.
Yeah, and he's with the guard, right?
He's not with the guard.
Oh, okay.
No. He's a colonel.
Oh, okay, good. All right, yeah, but hope your dad, does his tour of duty, serving our country and comes back
Good
home
luck to
safe.
your dad.
You don't need to hear that stuff. That stuff gets tiresome every time you say it, all that stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I know, man. Yeah, I come from I'm marrying into a military family, but
Oh, you're marrying into it. Like, how's the life? Do you have to get used to PCSing and all that stuff like that?
No. He's no. Future dad-in-law is retired. Served his 40 years and he's doing good, but it's what it is. And then I have some of my cousins have served Marines, another one Navy. So yeah, we've had a lot of people who served in our family.
Yeah, if you ever watched like speaking of that, have you watched the YouTube channel Kraut?
Yes.
Which one?
Kraut?
Yeah.
I've
Are
enjoyed
you
his
talking
videos.
about his foreign intervention video?
I haven't seen that one.
Covered, if you know that the recent yesterday, I think he released like the last of the.
Yeah, it was his
water.
Mexican. It was his series on Mexico. Like it was 2-hour video, and
I like to say like the last part was about the Portuguese, like how they overthrew the Salazar regime. I think the same thing's gonna happen with the military kids over here, and instead of we're basically just overthrowing the old all cars this, all planes and buses like that.
All right, so we're talking
That
about in
sounds
transportation, not balkanization of the United States, which that's a real possibility. But I mean, we still need infrastructure, no matter which way it goes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think we're not ending up like. And speaking of high-speed rail projects, I was also talking about the Americas as a whole. If you thought America was bad, Latin America is far, far worse. Than
yeah. That's a whole different that's a whole different story there.
Yeah,
and that's
high-speed rail is eventually going to come in there, but it's going to start off with basic inner-city rail. And I'll tell you this: the airlines over there are far more paranoid than even the say Spirit is over here.
I wouldn't think so, because it's a lot easier to get away with stuff over there.
Personally,
especially
It's
South
easier
America.
to bribe the politicians. It's a lot easier to do this.
Yeah, that's the culture down there. That's just what it is. Okay,
It's all because of that. And I think what's gonna happen is that with all this Chinese, I think the Chinese that's the closest thing they're gonna get to inner city rail. But even the good spots, say Chile can't still even though they have 100-mile-per-hour trains going down in Chile.
Yeah. Just really
Yeah,
quick.
but here's the thing, though. Quite a bit of Latin America is very diverse geographically. So, maybe what you're saying might apply for, say, Buenos Aires to Cordoba.
It's not going to be as widespread. It's going to be Sao Paulo to.
Yeah, but I mean,
Sao Paulo, Rio.
I don't know why airlines would be concerned from flying flights between Medellin and Bogota, which the Andes basically make it incredibly hard to build any kind of infrastructure.
Yeah.
So
basically, I'm not saying the Andes stuff like that. I'm saying for low-cost airlines that specialize, say the short-haul routes between Buenos Aires, Santiago, around stuff like that, Buenos Aires, Santiago, whole stuff like that.
Yeah. That's a whole lot of things. In Argentina, I mean that's a whole mess of a country when it comes to building rail. I mean they're ripping out old ones and putting in new ones now. From back from the Perón era. Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, that's a mess.
Guys trying to replace their fighter jets from fighter jet losses from the Falklands.
Yeah, the MiGs. Yeah, no, not the MiGs. The Mirages.
We Americans supplied them.
Yeah,
We
which is
Americans
funny.
supplied them.
And they were going against the British and their Harriers, and then when they were on the
And
ground
French
war,
and French
yeah.
Mirages. That sucked.
which is funny. Everybody fighting each other, and they both have FALs. The Falkland Islands. I was recently watching a documentary on that. It was ridiculous that the Argentinians did that, and they thought like, oh yeah, this is an Argentine island. They go on there, and everybody's British, and they're like,
Yeah.
this is awkward. Nobody here speaks Spanish. Everybody's driving on the wrong side of the road. This is weird. How did
We're
this
gonna
happen?
capture it anyway.
Yeah.
It's just because they want to appease their dictator.
Yeah, that was a complete disaster. Just bringing it back up here to North America, we missed a super chat over here from Shock2957. Thank you very much, man. So the I-84 corridor needs Amtrak population. Is exploding Portland to Salt Lake City. Yeah, that's something. A region again. The Southwest and the Western region do need a lot more rail infrastructure. The problem is that a lot of these cities are pretty more they're kind of spread out apart. Now it's easier there to build something because it's mostly flat areas that you can go in between.
Yeah, but it's a lot of stuff like out there. It's like ruler than.
Wasn't there like a train during like the Rainbow era of Amtrak that ran between Salt Lake City and Portland?
I think no, I don't think so. I think that was like already like thrown out before, like back in the '60s already. I forgot who was running it there, but there used to be a rail line, but Amtrak didn't run it. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, I thought there was a early, shortly later discontinued Amtrak route that connected Salt Lake City to Portland, but I don't remember what its name was. It didn't last very long, and from what I've heard, it wasn't that great, but it did exist at one point.
Okay, let me see. Let's look it up. Amtrak, Portland, Salt Lake.
Have you ever played Simutrans?
I'm not really that big into train simulators personally.
Simutrans as in like the Transport Tycoon, like the open transport. Like those Transport Tycoon games that I have. Like I'm really playing one right now.
Yeah. I'm more of a City Skylines fan.
I haven't played any RTSs in a
Speaking of that,
long
I've just
time.
recently joined Numtots.
Oh, new urbanist memes for transit-oriented teens.
Yeah, how crazy are they?
I don't know. I haven't been there in a long time because I don't hang out on Facebook anymore.
Fortunately, I had to have Facebook in order to talk to my dad.
Yeah, Facebook is dying in terms of communication, at least for our generation. It's mostly for for boomers. That's what Facebook is for.
Come to Transport Central, boomer free since I don't know its creation.
And they can't even log on to Discord, so that's what makes it safe. They can't get past the login, so we're safe here.
For now.
Yeah, but that's what it is. Anyway, anything else? So we can. I think we're gonna close it off around here.
Yeah.
Oh, close enough. So, I'm going to see when that thing is when my spiel is gonna be ready, but I will probably one of the first things to submit to that. So, I'm wondering to see if we can do like a Country Balls like airline like merch.
Country Balls Airline.
Or American Rail Club Country Balls merch.
Country?
Oh, the country balls, the memes, the country balls, like the Poland ball and stuff.
I mean, I'm a big Poland ball fan, but like, I don't get how that's going to work.
I mean, like you can have like JR West ball. You can have Deutsche Bahn ball.
Deutsche Ball.
I don't know. If that's going to become, if you guys want to work on that meme, that's up to Transport Central and you guys down there if you want to make that. Right. But I don't like forcing memes. It doesn't work.
Yeah, come to Transport Central. Make your best Poland ball train memes.
Yeah,
and
we should have like
gets a pat on the back.
I got to start a train meme review. Just have like a weekly train meme review.
We need to have a stream where it's just memes.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
And it's just us having a good time.
Let's just make like a play. I think we have an area for like meme submissions or stuff like that.
We have a meme channel on
Yeah.
Transport Central, but it's not that different from other meme channels on other servers.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Maybe we can just change that and just make it like submissions for memes or something like that. I know I had like an American Rail Club Reddit, but most people don't use Reddit anyway. Most people with the brain don't use Reddit, so I don't really push it that much. I just want to stick to one thing and things that work, like Discord. Where the fun people are. So maybe we'll probably start that. If you guys want to start train meme review, let us know, and we're gonna get that meme server spruced up and get that for like submissions. Yeah, I see it's like off topic, but it's not we need like a submission.
Not like completely off topic. It's not.
Yeah, I mean it's for fun. All right, man.
Or what you could do is DM me memes, and then I'll just slowly present them to Demetrius over a stream and just see his reactions.
That'll be funny.
Yeah. So I do like to consider but seriously, I do like some basic drawings like for country balls, but I just need to get better at it.
Yeah, it takes practice. And again, you can't force memes. There's something about the magic that makes it work.
Yeah, but I do predict memes when they explode for some stupid reason. Like
Memes cannot be controlled.
The Madagascar 2 meme, literally, I actually been to the capital of memes.
The memes, Snake.
The cap. No.
I was no.
It's New Canaan. New Canaan is the capital of memes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's where Mike Myers lives.
Yeah.
Petition to make Transport Central a capital of memes.
I mean, it's that, and I would say since I've been on the internet since it's actually been a place, since the late early the mid '90s.
Dial-up noises.
Yeah, that's still.
Yeah, I have that on my soundboard.
Yeah. But it should. I used to remember that when we used to have AOL back back in that time, whenever there was a phone call or whatnot, I'd be in the middle of some stupid little flash game or something like that, and all of a sudden somebody would call or a fax would come in, and that would be the end of the internet. It kind of sucked then. And then when we had DSL, that was the biggest deal. And then I wasted half my life on RuneScape. So there, that's my story.
Well, I never knew what. Yeah, RuneScape was a waste.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was like.
I mean,
but the ancestor.
Yeah.
It was like.
But anyway.
It's like the.
All right,
like
man.
The ancestor.
Yeah.
Speak of that.
So let's end it here. It's gonna be 10:40. I'll see some comments over here, but yeah, let's work on that. Let's work on getting an ARC meme review. A transport meme review.
And speaking of that, one last thing. Is Texas Central going to be doing its first ad campaign, first non-cringy ad campaign for the Olympics, I assume?
I don't know.
I don't pay attention to Texas Central ads. And I'm also not from Texas, so I don't really get them on YouTube ads, or I don't see them on billboards, so I don't know.
No, I mean most of their ads, they haven't really caught up to that. They're right now mostly in the campaigning stage. Once they get Brightline, because again, I used to work for Brightline when I was all aboard Florida. Your marketing changes when you're going from pushing to politicians and local boards in your area to once you start going into operations. And again, that's why they have changes of people, that they had people that were just more in the lobbying space and more in pushing things to politicians, and then they changed. Not really that, but it's more of making a good image of what they want.
It's just like Lockheed and the selling starfighters.
Yeah, but not they're gonna try to kill people or sell missiles to go ahead.
That's what happened in Japan when they acquired their Mitsubishi pencils.
Yeah, but that's what it is. Anyway, man, I'm glad you came on.
It was fun.
I came on too. It's one of the greatest. Feel like today is one of the greatest days of the year for me.
It is. Remember it for forever if you can.
Well, I'll remember this day and that little piece of paper.
Yeah. Then you probably have. We'll have more coming in. If you applied to several colleges, you'll have more coming in, and then comes the decision of where you want to go, and more of the decision is who's going to pay you the most in scholarships to go where, because that's what matters.
Yeah,
All right.
I get that.
Anyway, thank you for coming on board, Aegis. Take care, man.
All right.
Yep. See ya.
Yeah.
All right. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to end it there. I know there's some other people here in the audience here, but we're going to have to end it there, guys. So, yeah, let's see in the comments. Let me see. Amtrak Pioneer train ran Seattle to Salt Lake City, started June 7th, 1977, and ended May 10th, 1977. All right. Thank you for that, Brian, Rock Rail fan.
1977.
Yeah.
I knew it was in Amtrak's early days.
Yeah. That's weird. I've didn't hear about. I've never heard about that one. I don't know. I've never really looked into the Pioneer.
Yeah, I know. Like there are so many like obscure Amtrak routes that you're like, wait a minute, that was a thing. Kind of like the North Star, which ran from Chicago to Duluth.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem is that a lot of them, were rail lines that weren't profitable before, and they just had to keep them on. So a lot of them were able to get dropped later on because they said, look, we can't run this. Nobody's running on here. The states don't want to support it. Can we just let this go? Yeah, and that's a lot of routes need to go that direction. At least long distance, some of them are coming back, and now the dining cars are coming back, which is a good thing. Because,
Yay,
look, it makes a difference. Dining on the train and not having, a microwavable meal in a box or something like that. That's what's marginally better than what you get on an airline. If the airline even gives you any food. So
right,
that's what it is.
The best an airline usually gives me is like a bunch of admittedly really tasty cookies.
Yeah, no, not on Spirit and not on Legion. Good luck with that.
Oh, I usually fly Delta, so I always get the nice tasty cookies.
Yeah, Delta's the better of any of the airlines. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, we're gonna end it right there. So thank you all for riding on board on this wild ride. Be sure that you are subscribed to the American Rail Club. Make sure you ring that bell. And also like this video so it helps us out with the algorithm. And we will see you all on board next time. Take care.
Bye.